Welcome to Tales in the Dark. I know many of you enjoy relaxing with these videos, so I recommend turning down the volume until my voice is barely audible. It'll make the experience even more soothing. Before you close your eyes, let me know in the comments where you're listening from. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you and enjoy listening. Story 1. The soft, rhythmic tapping of raindrops against my window had transformed into a soothing melody, lulling me into a state of peaceful contemplation. Each drop seemed to carry with it a whispered secret, an ancient tale waiting to be heard. Inheriting my grandmother's mysterious house had opened my eyes to a world of subtle shifts and hidden narratives that danced within its walls. Tonight, as rain veiled the night in a gentle mist, the house exuded a sense of tranquility and enigma. The aged floorboards murmured beneath my feet, speaking of bygone eras and forgotten whispers. The air enveloped me in the familiar embrace of old books and lavender, evoking memories of lazy afternoons spent in the library with my grandmother. My nightly ritual had evolved into a meditative journey through the house, a ritual of securing windows and closing doors, each step a dance with the past. The spacious yet intimate rooms were bathed in the warm glow of vintage sconces, casting shadows that seemed to waltz across the wallpaper, telling tales of their own. As I neared the end of the upstairs corridor, a subtle shift in the atmosphere caught my attention. The air grew dense, carrying a metallic tang that hinted at impending storms. Standing before my grandmother's study door, I felt a peculiar energy emanating from it. The mahogany door loomed taller, its brass knob gleaming with an ethereal light amidst the shadows. Running my hand over the wood's surface, I sensed a newfound vitality, as if the door itself had awoken from a deep slumber. Despite the summer warmth, the door felt cold to the touch, sending shivers down my spine. Turning the knob, I was surprised by its effortless motion, a departure from its usual resistance. The door swung open noiselessly, revealing the familiar study bathed in subdued light. Yet, a subtle discord lingered in the air, like a melody slightly off-key. The shadows seemed to deepen, the scent of old books intermingling with a delicate sweetness, reminiscent of night blooms. Stepping into the room, the floorboards sighed beneath me, the sound lingering in the stillness. Antique volumes lined the shelves, their titles shifting and morphing in the dim light, teasing the edges of my perception. One particular book beckoned to me, its dark binding absorbing the ambient light. As I reached for it, a ripple of movement caught my eye, the shadows behind the desk stirring like ink in water. The room grew colder, carrying scents of earth and fallen leaves, drowning out the sound of rain with a profound silence. The door clicked shut behind me, though I had not closed it. Turning, I caught a glimpse of strange symbols etched on the door's surface, pulsing with arcane energy. Blinking, the symbols vanished, leaving only the familiar study door in their wake. Returning my gaze to the shelf, the dark volume I had reached for had vanished, leaving an empty space in its wake. The neighboring books leaned inwards, as if concealing a secret. A whisper of movement brushed past me, carrying the essence of lavender, a ghostly reminder of my grandmother's presence. The room contracted, the windows reflecting only darkness, as if the outside world had ceased to exist. Yet, the darkness felt comforting, like a cocoon of memories and dreams. Settling into the leather armchair, the shadows choreographed a silent ballet, weaving stories on the walls in a language as ancient as time itself. Minutes melted into hours as the shadows painted intricate designs, each movement pregnant with meaning. The darkness outside took on a velvety texture, swirling with unseen currents. Unspoken words hung heavy in the air, mingling with forgotten memories and whispered truths. Shapes flickered in the window's reflection, ephemeral yet purposeful, dancing to a melody only they could hear. The study door stood as a silent guardian, its significance growing with each passing moment. It beckoned me, a threshold to realms beyond comprehension, brimming with ancient wisdom. The brass knob throbbed with a pulsating light, a heartbeat of invitation. Reality blurred with dreams, shadows forming intricate patterns that defied mortal logic. Lavender permeated the air, mingling with scents of childhood and distant lands. The darkness glowed from within, a canvas of infinite tales and boundless possibilities. The rain whispered a haunting melody, a lullaby of mysteries unsolved. Rising from the chair, I found myself drawn to the door, its surface undulating like water, revealing hidden depths. The brass knob pulsed with a gentle light, guiding my hand as I reached for it. No fear lingered, only a sense of belonging, as if this moment had been written in the stars. The door swung open soundlessly, unveiling a realm of shifting shadows and whispered echoes. Fragments of voices and forgotten songs filled the air, blending with scents of starlight and ancient tomes. Standing on the threshold, the darkness beckoned, its tendrils reaching out in a tender embrace. Behind me, the study faded into obscurity, the door becoming a gateway to realms untold. Whether I crossed that threshold or remained in the study, the distinction blurred, time folding in on itself like the patterns in the wood grain. The door existed in a liminal state, a bridge between reality and the unknown, a testament to the mysteries that lie beyond perception. On quiet nights, the door calls to me, a silent invitation to explore the boundaries of existence. Sometimes it is just a door, a portal to my grandmother's study. But in the deep hours of the night, when shadows intertwine and memories converge, it transforms into a passage to twilight realms, a bridge between what is and what could be. The darkness beyond holds infinite possibilities, a realm where time stands still and stories never end. The rain continues its gentle serenade, a reminder that some enigmas are meant to be felt, not unraveled. The door stands as a question mark, an invitation to embrace the unknown, a threshold to a different kind of light. Story 2. The soft murmur of autumn leaves waltzing across the wooden porch serenaded my nightly routine of tea before slumber. Wisps of steam lazily drifted from my cup, carrying the comforting scent of chamomile and honey. The aged house whispered softly around me, its familiar creaks a solace as darkness enveloped the late hour. It was then that a peculiar change in the moon caught my eye. Hanging full and low in the night sky, its glow held an unusual quality. The silvery light pulsed ever so gently, akin to the faint beat of a distant heart. Drawn to its rhythm, my breath fell into sync with the moon's gentle cadence. The air grew unnaturally calm. The rustling leaves fell silent, the crickets hushed their evening symphony. In the profound stillness, I detected a sound defying logic. A whisper so faint it might have been a figment of my imagination, yet so distinct it could not be ignored. It resembled a melody without notes, a tune without sound, emanating from the very core of the moon. My tea grew cold, abandoned, as I sat transfixed by this ethereal display. The moonlight thickened, almost tangible, like strands of silver silk cascading from the heavens. They swayed in an unseen breeze, forming patterns reminiscent of ancient scripts, messages almost within grasp. Inside the house, shadows began to dance. Not the usual play of darkness from passing clouds, but purposeful, graceful movements following the silent beat. The shadows stretched and twirled along the walls, shaping forms almost human, yet not quite. Their motions exuded a fluid elegance no mortal dancer could replicate. Somehow, I found myself standing, though I had no recollection of leaving my seat. The wooden floor hummed beneath me, a gentle vibration coursing through my being. The temperature dipped slightly, raising goosebumps on my skin, yet I harbored no fear, only a profound sense of awe and tranquility. The moonlight continued its pulsing rhythm, each wave shifting the world around me imperceptibly. Colors grew more vivid yet softer. Wooden grains flowed like water, and the air itself shimmered with minuscule silver specks of light. Time lost its meaning. Minutes melded into hours, hours condensed into fleeting moments. Somewhere within the house, a clock tolled midnight, its chimes distorted and elongated, as if traveling through water to reach me. With each toll, the moon's silent melody intensified, more insistent. The shadows on the walls quickened their dance, intricate and defined, almost revealing faces in their shifting shapes, expressions mirroring my unfathomable calm. A gentle breeze stirred, carrying the fragrance of night-blooming flowers foreign to my garden. It enveloped me, lifting my hair and clothes in a tender embrace. The moonlight responded, weaving its silver strands through the air in intricate patterns eluding my gaze. Bathed in the impossible light, a realization dawned upon me, or perhaps a memory long forgotten resurfaced. The moon's silent song conveyed ancient secrets, of realms existing between fleeting moments, of realities brushing against ours like silk against skin. It murmured of nights when the boundary between actuality and possibility thinned enough to touch. The shadows continued their mesmerizing dance, now beckoning me to join. My feet moved with a will of their own, following steps to a dance never learned, but somehow known deep within. The moonlight draped around me like a cloak, and for a fleeting, breathtaking moment, I felt weightless, as though I could step off the porch and tread upon the silver light itself. Slowly, almost regretfully, the intensity waned. The shadows returned to their still state, the moonlight fading back to its usual full moon radiance. The silent melody withdrew, leaving an echo resonating within my bones. Seated once more in my chair, my tea now ice cold, the night had reverted to normalcy. Crickets chirped, leaves rustled, and the old house crooned its customary lullaby. Yet, something fundamental had shifted, irreversible. I understood then that I would forever perceive the moon differently, forever uncertain if what I encountered was a dream or more. Now, on tranquil nights beneath the full moon, I linger on the porch, waiting. Occasionally, if I remain utterly still and patient, I catch a hint of that silent melody, glimpse a shimmer of silver strands in the air. And the shadows, oh the shadows, they recall the dance, though they no longer perform it. They reach out with a knowing grace, as if implying that certain mysteries are destined to dwell just beyond our comprehension, in that enchanting space between reality and reverie. And perhaps that is precisely where they belong, in that serene twilight realm where the moon croons its silent song and shadows sway to melodies only the heart can discern. In that realm, in that moment of marvel and potential, we discover a tranquility transcending explanation, a magic that transcends words. I still take my evening tea on the porch, watching the moon ascend over the horizon. And sometimes, just sometimes, when the night holds perfect stillness and my mind quietens, I sense the silver light pulse faintly, akin to a distant heartbeat, beckoning me to a dance I may never wholly grasp but will forever remember. Story 3. As the crisp autumn air enveloped my wooden cabin, a sense of mystery lingered, carrying with it the earthy fragrance of fallen leaves. The ancient forest outside stood motionless, frozen in a timeless embrace. Not a single leaf rustled, not a branch swayed in the peculiar stillness that had settled for 3 days, defying the natural flow of life. Nestled in my cozy armchair, draped in a soft wool blanket, I listened to the crackling of the fireplace, its flickering flames casting dancing shadows on the rugged walls. The warm glow of the fire contrasted sharply with the gray twilight seeping through the windows. My cup of chamomile tea sat untouched, its warmth forgotten as I pondered the eerie quiet surrounding me. The forest had always been my refuge, a sanctuary from the chaos of the modern world. But this silence felt different, oppressive, almost sentient, like the hush before a storm unleashes its fury. Yet this moment stretched on, defying explanation, unsettling in its prolonged stillness. My companion's shadow, the black cat, rested on the windowsill, her fur glistening in the firelight. Her ears perked, her gaze fixed on unseen mysteries in the darkness beyond. At times, she would raise her head, tracking movements invisible to my eyes, her tail twitching with unease. That night, As I readied for bed, a peculiar sight met my eyes in the bathroom mirror. A pale mist, swirling with purpose, caught my reflection by surprise. Though when I turned to face the window, only the impenetrable darkness of night greeted me. Yet the ghostly impression lingered like a fleeting memory. Sleep eluded me that night, the silence pressing against my ears until only the rhythm of my own heartbeat filled the air. In that liminal space between wakefulness and dreams, a faint, rhythmic whisper tiptoed on the edges of my awareness, like a distant murmur of breath. Morning dawned, but the stillness held its grip. The forest remained motionless, a painted tableau on the horizon. Yet, a subtle change had taken place overnight. The fallen leaves now formed intricate patterns on the ground, as if crafted with intent. Curved lines and spirals extended from the base of the trees, resembling ripples on a tranquil pond. Shadow refused to venture outside, her gaze fixed on the leafy designs, her tail fluffed with tension. Venturing out to gather firewood, the air felt dense, as though I moved through an invisible barrier. The temperature remained unchanged, a neutral middle ground that left my skin prickling with unease. Dusk approached, and a significant shift unfolded before my eyes. The mist, once a faint presence, now materialized at the forest's edge. It slithered between the trees, its pale luminescence weaving shapes that flickered and vanished like elusive whispers. The sound of breathing, a subtle undercurrent, grew stronger with the onset of darkness, filling the air with a haunting melody. Shadow clung to my side, her fur bristling, as we watched the mist creep closer to the cabin, carrying scents of ancient earth and enigmatic age. That night, dreams painted eerie images in my mind, roots snaking through the floorboards, leaves whispering my name, trees peering through windows with hidden eyes in their bark. The breath-like whisper evolved into a voice, speaking in a tongue both familiar and incomprehensible. Awakening, I found my sheets damp with dew, the closed windows somehow unable to keep the outside world at bay. The leaf patterns had evolved, intricate and sprawling, spiraling outward like a colossal fingerprint. The mist lingered, clinging to the ground in tendrils that reached out as if beckoning. Shadow, restless, moved from window to window, tracking unseen spectacles. On the seventh day of stillness, unusual handprints materialized on my windows, etched in condensation like ethereal vines. The breathing sound had become a constant presence, rising and falling like gentle waves on a distant shore. That evening, by the fire's warmth, I noticed a shift in the shadows. They swayed to a new rhythm, synchronized with the forest's breathing. The intricate patterns from outside had infiltrated my sanctuary, appearing in the dust, the wooden floors, the very essence of my blankets. In an unexpected moment, Shadow darted to the front door, her curiosity piqued. The breathing sound enveloped us, resonating in our chests, as if our hearts beat in harmony with an ancient pulse. The mist seeped through cracks, carrying scents of moss and decay, a presence both eerie and strangely comforting. Fear eluded me, replaced by a sense of recognition, as if awakening to a truth long overlooked. The patterns spoke a language, woven from leaves, shadows, and breath. Today, the forest remained still, yet teeming with life. The mist, now a constant companion, swirls around me as I move through my domain. Shadow, at peace with our altered reality, no longer fixates on the windows. The breathing sound, a familiar melody, only noticeable in rare moments of silence. In the dead of night, hints of understanding whisper through the shifting patterns, bridging the gap between my existence and the ancient consciousness enveloping me. The stillness no longer weighs heavy, but lingers with anticipation, like a prelude to profound revelations. As I pen these words, I find myself embracing the forest's enigmatic allure. The mist tells tales, the leaves dance, and in the quiet pulse between heartbeats, the forest breathes. And I breathe, merging into a mystery that thrives on unanswered questions, inviting wonder and introspection. Some mysteries are more beautiful when left unexplained, like morning mist hanging in the air, beckoning us to listen, to ponder, and to dream. Story 4. In the dimming woods, the gentle rhythm of autumn rain tapping against leaves weaves a soothing melody. Each droplet carries ancient secrets as it joins the symphony of countless others, cascading through layers of golden and crimson foliage. My footsteps, muffled by the damp earth, create soft squishing sounds, harmonizing with the earthy perfume of decomposing leaves that fills the air. The fading light of late afternoon filters through the canopy, casting everything in hues of amber and gray, casting a spell of enchantment over the forest. What began as a simple walk to clear my mind has evolved into a journey drawn by the weather's mystique and the ethereal quality of the light. The familiar trail markers have vanished, replaced by towering trees whose branches interlace like secrets shared among ancient companions. The ambient sounds of the forest gradually give way to the subtle murmur of flowing water. Initially a mere whisper beneath the rain and rustling leaves, the water's song grows stronger, beckoning me with an irresistible allure. The path descends, meandering between moss-draped boulders, arranged as if by a long-forgotten hand. The air chills as I move downward, carrying a scent both mineral and aged, reminiscent of wet stone and the passage of time. Through gaps in the trees, I glimpse mist rising from a narrow river valley below. The river's flow, dark yet impossibly clear, defies the natural gradient of the land, its surface veiled in lazy spirals of mist that hint at hidden intentions before dissipating. The source of the river appears to emerge mysteriously from beneath a colossal rock wall cloaked in cascading moss, disappearing downstream behind another stone formation. The scene unfolds like a centuries-old secret guarded by the forest. Driven by an unseen force, I navigate the steep bank towards the water's edge. The moss-covered rocks absorb all sound, enveloping me in a cocoon of silence broken only by the river's deep, reverberating melody. As I approach the water, my gaze fixes on a peculiar sight, an opening in the rock face where the river originates. Partially concealed by a curtain of water and mist, the cave entrance beckons, its depths shrouded in mystery. The cave seems to breathe, the mist ebbing and flowing like the gentle respiration of a slumbering giant. Standing by the river, a profound awareness washes over me, not of fear but of encountering something ancient and significant. The air crackles with potential, akin to the charged calm before a summer storm. The water at my feet, neither warm nor cold, carries a dual nature, blending and transcending temperature distinctions. A faint sound emanates from the cave, resembling distant music, a half-remembered lullaby from the depths of memory. As twilight descends, small lights materialize in the dusk, dancing around the cave's entrance in deliberate, mesmerizing spirals. Their color, a shifting hue between silver and blue, defies naming, flickering with an elusive radiance. Time loses its grip in this realm, the advancing evening hinting at the passage of hours unbeknownst to me. The dancing lights multiply, weaving intricate patterns that hint at a cryptic language inscribed in luminescence. The light's movements grow more purposeful, as if conveying a narrative or multiple interconnected stories, akin to the entwined roots of the ancient trees above. Balanced on the threshold between worlds, a choice materializes before me. The cave's mouth invites, promising answers to unspoken queries, while the light's intricate dance unfolds like a tale waiting to be deciphered. A step onto the radiant stones on the water's surface signifies a transformative shift, a decision pregnant with unspoken consequences. Yet the anticipated fear remains absent, replaced by a deep sense of recognition, as if I had always known of this place, awaiting only remembrance. The lights pause in their choreography, as if anticipating my next move. The cave's breath enfolds me, a tender embrace, while the river's song resonates within my very bones. The veiled mystery beyond the watery threshold beckons, a destination long foretold, awaiting my arrival. As the world above succumbs to the encroaching darkness, I linger on the cusp of realms, the eternal dance of lights and the ancient breath of the cave enveloping me. Whether I cross into the unknown or retreat to the familiar path, the awareness of this enigmatic place alters a fundamental aspect within me. The boundary between possibility and impossibility dissolves like the mist swirling around my feet, forever changing my perception of the world. The saga concealed beyond the cave's maw remains untold, preserved in the enigmatic dance of lights and the whispered ballads of an underground river. On tranquil nights, when rain whispers softly and the world grows hushed, echoes of that otherworldly melody reach me, beckoning to the place where reality blurs and magic flows like water through the hidden recesses of existence. Story 5. The soft, steady rhythm of raindrops tapping against the window panes enveloped the ancient house in a tranquil melody, a gentle percussion that reverberated through the silent corridors. Inheriting the grand Victorian mansion from my grandmother only a fortnight prior, I found myself captivated by the enigmatic allure hidden within its time-worn walls. The aged floorboards murmured beneath my footsteps, whispering tales of bygone eras and long-forgotten whispers. On that particular evening, as the autumn breeze hummed a wistful tune through the window crevices, I felt an irresistible pull towards the narrow staircase ascending to the attic. The brass doorknob yielded effortlessly to my touch, as if beckoning me into the realm of secrets held within. A fragrance of antiquity and lost memories greeted me as I climbed the groaning stairs, my flashlight casting ethereal beams that illuminated the dancing dust particles, shimmering like celestial stars in the dimness. Each step unveiled a trove of treasures carefully preserved by my grandmother over her lifetime, each item harboring a tale waiting to be unfurled. The attic sprawled before me, a vast expanse shrouded in white sheets like spectral sentinels standing vigil in silence. My footfalls were hushed by the thick layer of dust blanketing the wooden floor, while the rain outside continued its gentle serenade on the slanted roof, cocooning me in a tranquil solitude. Amidst the veiled furnishings and stacked crates, a peculiar sight captured my gaze. Nestled in the far corner, partially obscured by an ancient trunk, sat a Victorian rocking chair, conspicuously free of dust compared to its surroundings. The faded velvet upholstery retained a rich burgundy hue, and perched atop it rested a porcelain doll, previously unseen by my eyes. Clad in a gown of aged blue silk, delicate lace tinged with time adorned its collar and sleeves. Its visage was exquisitely crafted, with rosy cheeks and intricate painted features frozen in a state of serene grace. Yet it was the eyes that held me spellbound. Crafted from painted glass, they possessed a depth that seemed to shift with the flicker of my flashlight. Drawing closer, the aged floorboards groaned softly beneath me, their protest echoing in the stillness. The doll sat motionless, hands delicately folded in its lap, as though awaiting a long-lost companion. A small key protruded from its back, hinting at a hidden music box mechanism, though I hesitated to wind it in the attic's quiet embrace. The atmosphere surrounding the rocking chair felt altered, cooler, denser, as if laden with a presence unseen. My breath materialized in wisps within the flashlight's beam, contrasting with the warmth lingering elsewhere in the attic. Tentatively, I extended a hand to caress the doll's porcelain cheek, only to encounter a gentle warmth pulsating faintly beneath my touch. In that fleeting moment, a distant melody, akin to a far-off music box, whisked through the air, barely audible yet resonating with a haunting familiarity. Was it a figment of my imagination, or did it carry echoes of a lullaby my grandmother once hummed in my childhood? Lost in reverie, I witnessed the rocking chair stir, a subtle, almost imperceptible motion that quickened my pulse. The chair settled back into stillness, yet an expectant hush lingered in the air. Subsequently, I found myself drawn back to the attic with increasing frequency. At times, I would sit for hours in a nearby chair, observing the doll in its serene repose. On quiet nights, when the house plunged into its deepest silence, the ghostly strains of that familiar melody would drift on the edge of perception. One dusk, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the attic in hues of amber and shadow, I stumbled upon a weathered diary concealed behind the rocking chair. Amongst its pages, inscribed in my grandmother's elegant script, lay a photograph serving as a bookmark. The picture depicted my grandmother as a young girl, seated in the very rocking chair, cradling what appeared to be the same doll. Yet, a peculiar detail unsettled me. The doll's posture differed slightly from my encounter. Its head tilted at an altered angle, its hands posed in a distinct manner. Within the diary's passages, my grandmother chronicled a gift bestowed upon her 8th birthday, a musical doll that serenaded her with the sweetest lullabies. She recounted how the doll offered solace during thunderous nights, and on solitary occasions she fancied she heard it sing without being wounded. The final entry concerning the doll was penned mere days before my grandmother's departure from this world. She described sensing its presence during her final moments, the old lullaby permeating her dreams. The narrative abruptly ceased mid-sentence, as though interrupted in its telling. Presently, during the tranquil evenings spent in my grandmother's abode, my thoughts invariably drifted back to the attic. The doll remained perched in its chair, its tranquil countenance unchanged yet subtly different with each viewing. Occasionally, on the brink of slumber, the familiar lullaby would descend from above, a gentle reminder of my grandmother's enduring affection encapsulated in porcelain and silk, safeguarding the house and its memories. The enigma surrounding the doll persisted unsolved, a mystery cloaked in gentle curiosity. Some enigmas are best left unexplained, existing as ethereal ponderings suspended between reality and reverie. In those instances of profound stillness, when rain tapped softly against the windows and the zephyr whispered through the corridors, solace enveloped me in the knowledge that above, in the dusty attic, a porcelain doll maintained its eternal vigil, cradling secrets and memories within its warm, tender embrace. On tranquil nights, I discerned the subtle shift in the atmosphere heralding the melody's arrival. A soft modulation in pressure, a gentle warming of the surroundings, as if the house itself drew a breath before the lullaby commenced. In those interludes between wakefulness and dreams, I comprehended why my grandmother chose to keep the doll's essence veiled from others. Certain mysteries are meant to be felt rather than articulated, experienced rather than comprehended. Thus, the doll resided in its attic alcove, neither wholly of this world nor entirely detached from it, a benign custodian of familial reminiscences and unspoken narratives. Its presence evolved from an enigma to a source of comfort, a familiar mystery that infused the ancient house with a tranquil sense of wonder. Drifting into slumber each night, I fancied I sensed its benevolent vigil extending throughout the residence, weaving dreams and memories into an eternal lullaby that echoed softly in the interstices between heartbeats. Story 6. The gentle flicker of candlelight danced gracefully across the weathered wooden floors of the antique store, casting soft shadows that swayed in a mesmerizing cadence. The rain drummed a soothing rhythm against the Victorian windows, filling the tranquil evening air with a melodic lullaby. Seeking refuge from the autumn storm, I found myself drawn into this peculiar establishment, captivated by its warmth and the intoxicating scent of aged books and polished wood that enveloped me like a comforting embrace. Amidst the carefully curated array of oddities, my gaze was magnetically pulled towards a portrait hanging in a secluded alcove. The painting portrayed a young woman in a striking cobalt gown, her features expertly crafted with precision. Her skin possessed a porcelain-like sheen that caught and reflected the flickering candle glow, while her dark tresses melded seamlessly into the shadowed backdrop. Yet it was her eyes that held me spellbound, deep pools of amber that seemed to possess an otherworldly depth, as if imbued with a long-forgotten technique that rendered them almost fluid in appearance. The shopkeeper, a venerable gentleman with silver hair and wire-rimmed spectacles, observed my fascination. His voice, like a gentle whisper in the night, carried a cadence of someone well-versed in weaving enchanting tales. "That portrait carries a storied past," he murmured, adjusting his sleeve with care. "Painted by an artist who vanished shortly after its completion. Legend has it he toiled for years to concoct a unique blend of pigments that would capture a lifelike essence in the eyes." Returning to the shop day after day, I found myself inexplicably drawn to the enigmatic portrait. Each visit unveiled new intricacies. The subtle drape of her gown, the intricate detailing of her clasped fingers, the elusive smile that seemed to shift with every glance. The shopkeeper would regale me with morsels of the painting's history, each narrative more captivating than the last. On a particularly hushed evening, with rain cascading down the shop's windows like liquid silver, I noticed a peculiar phenomenon. The woman's eyes seemed to track my movements through the room, not overtly, but with a subtle undulation in their amber depths, akin to ripples on a tranquil pond. The flickering candlelight captured these minuscule shifts, creating ephemeral glimmers that vanished when I tried to fixate on them directly. Materializing beside me, the shopkeeper's voice barely audible, he intoned, "They speak of the artist's obsession with infusing true vitality into his creations, delving into ancient methods, experimenting with unconventional mediums. Some speculate he unearthed something extraordinary, or perhaps something best left undiscovered." As weeks waned, subtle metamorphoses in the portrait became apparent. At times, the woman's countenance exuded a softer, contemplative aura. Other instances, a tinge of melancholy tinged the curve of her lips. These changes, so delicate, blurred the line between reality and imagination, amplified by the shopkeeper's narratives and the dreamlike ambiance of the candlelit emporium. One dusk, arriving to find the shop cloaked in an unusual darkness, candles unlit, and only the pallid light of twilight filtering through rain-streaked panes, I stood before the portrait. A lightning flash momentarily illuminated the room, and in that fleeting instant, I beheld the woman's eyes blink. A thrill coursed through me, not fear, but an inexplicable marvel. The rainfall maintained its gentle symphony against the windows as I inched closer to the painting. The eyes, now irrefutably transformed, emanated a warmth and cognizance that defied the limitations of mere pigments on canvas. In the subdued glow, I could almost swear I discerned her bosom rise and fall in a phantom breath. The shopkeeper's voice, akin to snowflakes alighting on still waters, resonated from behind me. "She reveals herself solely to those who truly grasp her allure," he whispered. The artist didn't merely capture her likeness. He unearthed a way to encapsulate something beyond, a realm that straddles the realms of artistry and reality. Although I never procured the portrait, my visits remained frequent. At times, I would linger for hours in the cozy armchair near the alcove, engrossed in reading by candlelight, while the woman in the painting observed with her living gaze. The shopkeeper would bring tea, and we would share companionable silence, punctuated solely by the rustle of pages and the patter of raindrops. Years have since drifted by, and I've often pondered whether it all transpired within my mind. The subtle shifts in her expression, the liquid dance of her eyes, the sensation of encountering something simultaneously exquisite and implausible. Yet, on tranquil nights when rain taps a gentle rhythm against my window, recollections of the candlelit store and the portrait that seemed to pulsate resurface. In those ethereal moments between wakefulness and slumber, I can almost sense her tender gaze trailing me through the shadows. They speak of the portrait lingering in that shop, awaiting visitors attuned to the magic within those amber eyes. Some profess witnessing her smile metamorphose or catching a flicker of motion within the canvas. Yet, Perhaps the true enchantment lies not in whether the portrait truly lives, but in those tranquil instants when we permit ourselves to believe in the inconceivable, suspended in that misty realm where artistry and actuality meld like watercolors in the rain. Story 7. The soft patter of rain tapping against my window had been a steadfast companion throughout the night, blending seamlessly with the alluring sound that had beckoned me to this secluded cabin, the enigmatic singing waterfall. Nestled in my cozy armchair, enveloped in a plush woolen blanket, I tuned into the harmonious tune that floated on the misty breeze outside. Local lore had forewarned me about the waterfall's captivating song, though their tales were tinged more with awe than apprehension. They spoke of how the melody shifted with the moon's phases, how it seemed to murmur ancient truths to those willing to listen closely. Initially, I had taken their stories with a grain of salt, assuming them to be mere folklore designed to lure in curious travelers like myself. Yet, after spending 3 nights in this cabin, I found myself beginning to grasp the depth of their reverence. The rain persisted in its gentle percussion against the cabin's wooden walls, creating a soothing lullaby for my nocturnal musings. A fire crackled softly in the stone hearth, casting flickering shadows that danced across the rugged wooden floorboards. The fragrance of pine and damp earth wafted through the slightly ajar window, carrying with it the invigorating essence of the surrounding forest. Tonight, there was a subtle shift in the waterfall's melody. The familiar gentle hum now bore an almost lyrical quality, as if it sought to convey a specific message. Leaning forward in my chair, I strained to decipher the watery whispers that meandered through the evening air. The nearly full moon occasionally peeked through breaks in the rain-laden clouds, casting silver beams that waltzed across the room. In those fleeting moments of illumination, I perceived the shadows moving in a manner that defied the fire's dance. They pulsed in harmony with the waterfall's song, forming intricate patterns that eluded my comprehension. Beside me, my weathered leather journal lay open on the small table, its pages filled with my attempts to capture the essence of the waterfall's melody. Each night, the notes I transcribed seemed to shift subtly, as if the song itself was evolving or unraveling hidden layers. Tonight's page remained blank, as I found myself too entranced by the current variation to pen it down. A gradual chill descended upon the room, despite the crackling fire. Yet, the cold carried a revitalizing touch akin to a crisp spring morning, refreshing and pure. The mist outside thickened, pressing against the window panes like inquisitive tendrils seeking entry. Within its swirling embrace, phantom shapes, fleeting faces, or ancient symbols seemed to materialize. Approaching midnight, heralded by the gentle chime of my grandfather's antique pocket watch, the waterfall's melody ascended to a new pinnacle of clarity. The tune seemed to metamorphose into words just beyond my grasp, akin to a language remembered from dreams but forgotten upon waking. The mist outside acquired a subtle luminosity, casting a soft, pearlescent glow through the windows. Unconsciously, I rose from my chair, the blanket slipping noiselessly to the floor as I gravitated towards the window, drawn by an irresistible urge to immerse myself in the waterfall's song. The wooden floorboards hummed beneath my feet, resonating with the cascading water's rhythm. Through the misted glass, I discerned the path leading to the waterfall, usually shrouded in darkness at this hour, now aglow with a faint phosphorescence. Tiny silvery lights, reminiscent of fireflies, but with an otherworldly hue, danced along the path in perfect synchrony with the melody. The rain had softened to a gentle drizzle, each droplet capturing and refracting the mystical light like minuscule prisms. The very air seemed to hum with the melody, resonating through every suspended droplet in the nocturnal atmosphere. The effect was mesmerizing, yet devoid of menace. Instead, it imbued me with a profound sense of tranquility and connection to something ancient and sagacious. Without conscious volition, I fetched my coat and boots, the wooden floor still reverberating beneath my steps as I gathered essentials for a midnight stroll. My rational mind whispered caution about venturing to a waterfall in the dead of night, but the compulsion felt more like a courteous invitation than an irresistible compulsion. Stepping onto the small porch, I found myself enveloped in the song's embrace. The mist caressed my skin like silk, swirling around my feet as the luminescent path unfurled before me, weaving into the forest like a ribbon of starlight. Each stride I took felt instinctual, as though retracing a path long forgotten, but now vividly recalled. The nocturnal forest, normally cloaked in darkness and enigmatic sounds, now resembled an enchanted haven. The trees inclined slightly away from the path, their boughs swaying in perfect accord with the waterfall's melody. Droplets fell from their leaves like musical notes, contributing a gentle percussion to the symphony enveloping me. As I neared the waterfall, the melody deepened, resonating not louder but richer. It seemed to reverberate through my very core, evoking a soothing rather than disquieting sensation. The mist thickened, revealing within its ethereal patterns scenes unfolding, fragments of memories alien to me, vistas of locales I had never trod. Gradually, the waterfall emerged through the shimmering mist, unveiled piece by piece. The water cascaded in a languid descent, each droplet capturing and holding the enigmatic light like suspended jewels. The pool at its base reflected not the overhead night sky, but a celestial canopy adorned with unfamiliar constellations arranged in fantastical configurations. Standing at the pool's edge, entranced by the hypnotic cascade, the melody reached its zenith of clarity. Though the words remained elusive, their essence resonated deep within my being. They spoke of time and remembrance, of cycles and seasons, of treasures lost and rediscovered. A gentle zephyr stirred the mist around me, and for a fleeting moment, I glimpsed figures cavorting within the falling water, not phantoms or specters, but something more intrinsic, akin to the corporeal embodiment of music itself. They moved with an ethereal grace, their forms fluidly transmuting between water, light, and shadow. Time seemed to lose significance as I stood there, witnessing the dance of water and light. The moon completed its nocturnal voyage across the heavens, though its transit barely registered in my consciousness. The rain had ceased entirely, yet the atmosphere remained pregnant with mist and enigma. As the first tendrils of dawn tinted the eastern horizon, the waterfall's song gradually metamorphosed. The melody softened, its cadence growing tender, akin to a lullaby drawing towards its conclusion. The luminescent mist began to wane, the mysterious lights along the path dimming one by one. Guided by the dwindling lights and the lingering echoes of the waterfall's song, I retraced my steps back to the cabin. My footfalls felt weightless, as if traversing a dreamscape, though the certainty of the night's events lingered, grounding them in a reality, albeit one steeped in mystery. Within the cabin, my journal lay open to the blank page, awaiting my account. Gripping the pen, I began to transcribe, not the musical notes I had intended, but a detailed recollection of all I had witnessed, every sensation, emotion, unearthly vision, and fragmented whisper. As the final words flowed from my pen, the sun's first rays infiltrated the room. The fire had dwindled to ember, and the ambient temperature had reverted to normalcy. Everything appeared unchanged, yet subtly transfigured by the night's revelations. The waterfall's song still serenades me each evening, though never attaining the crystalline clarity of that singular night. Occasionally, beneath the full moon and gentle rain, I catch fleeting glimpses of that elusive luminescence, echoes of those unearthly figures dancing within the waterfall's embrace. The mist continues to weave patterns that defy comprehension, and the path intermittently glimmers in the darkness. The true nature of that nocturnal odyssey remains as enigmatic as the waterfall's melody itself. Some mysteries, perhaps, are not meant for complete deciphering, but for experiencing and cherishing in their inscrutability. And so I abide here, listening to the water's song, inscribing in my journal, and pondering what other enigmas lie concealed within the melody of falling water and the ethereal dance of light through mist. Story 8. The gentle hum of my car's engine harmonized with the soft patter of rain on the windshield, creating a calming melody that synced with the steady rhythm of my heart. The night enveloped my vehicle like a velvety cloak, punctuated only by the warm radiance of my headlights slicing through the darkness. It felt like I had been driving for an eternity, yet my watch stubbornly insisted that only 45 minutes had passed since I departed the quaint diner where I had paused for a cup of coffee. The road ahead unfurled endlessly, a dark ribbon of asphalt vanishing into the misty obscurity. Towering pine trees flanked both sides, their branches swaying gently in the autumn breeze, casting ethereal shadows that danced across my path. The air seeping through the slightly cracked window carried the earthy fragrance of damp soil and pine needles, a scent that usually brought solace, but tonight held a heightened intensity, almost otherworldly. A peculiar realization dawned on me. The mile markers appeared to be repeating. Initially brushing it off as a trick of fatigue on my mind, the pattern grew unmistakable as I pressed on. Mile marker 47 passed, succeeded by 48, 49, 50, and inexplicably, 47 reappeared. My logical mind attempted to rationalize it. Maybe there were multiple segments of road with identical numbering, or perhaps fatigue clouded my perception. The soft jazz emanating from the radio dissolved into static, prompting me to reach for the dial, only to find no respite in tuning. Amidst the white noise, faint whispers lingered, too indistinct to decipher, but potent enough to raise goosebumps on my skin. Opting for the soothing symphony of rain and the rhythmic swish of wipers, I silenced the radio. As the night deepened, I glimpsed other vehicles on the road, or rather, the same vintage car, trailing behind me at regular intervals in my rearview mirror. A relic from the 1950s, its dull chrome trim gleamed in my taillights. Each appearance saw it maintain a consistent distance for precisely 3 minutes before vanishing around a bend, only to reappear in the mirror with unerring accuracy. My attention was snagged by the clock on the dashboard, frozen at 11:47 p.m. Recalling it displaying the same time when I first noticed the repeating mile markers, at least an hour had elapsed since. I pulled over, intending to check my phone, yet it displayed no signal, the screen blank where the time should be. My wristwatch too halted at 11:47, its second hand stagnant. Seeking clarity, I veered into a rest area, yearning for direction or solace in the company of another traveler. The desolate parking lot hosted a lone streetlight casting a golden pool on the wet tarmac. Stepping out, the air felt dense, as though time had congealed. The rain had dwindled to a mist, suspended in the light's embrace. A weathered wooden information board beckoned, its map showcasing incomprehensible loops defying conventional geometry. A handwritten note in a corner cryptically read, "Time is a circle here. The journey never ends. It just changes you." Upon returning to my car, the vintage vehicle I had glimpsed in my mirror was stationed 3 spaces away. Pristine despite the rain, its vacant interior emitted a scent of aged leather and pipe tobacco, as though the driver had just departed. Resuming my journey, subtle alterations in the landscape unfurled. Trees grew taller, their boughs arching over the road, forming natural gateways beyond my headlights' reach. The distant fog now coiled lazily across the road, swirling in patterns that almost revealed fleeting faces and forms. Successive rest areas mirrored the initial one, down to the puddled patterns on the pavement, each hosting the vintage car parked 3 spaces apart, empty yet exuding a palpable presence. Days seemed to slip by as I traversed this unending road, the clock eternally stuck at 11:47 p.m. The fuel gauge remained steadfast at half full, the coffee in my cup perpetually warm. Encountering fellow travelers on this perpetual road, their serene countenances hinted at a shared experience of entwined time and space. A strange allure tugged at me, questioning whether I truly desired a return to conventional paths. In this realm devoid of time's constraints, the journey itself transcended both destination and purpose. The familiar whispers in the static morphed into a melodic cadence, the fog's elusive shapes akin to old companions. I comprehended the note's enigmatic message. Each passage of mile marker 47 unveiled a fresh revelation. The road remained constant, yet my perception evolved, akin to a musical piece unfurling hidden intricacies with each hearing. As my headlights cleaved through the eternal night, I contemplated the possibility that this infinite road was not a snare, but a boon for those willing to embrace its enigmatic essence. The rain continued its lulling rhythm on the windshield, heralding the imminent arrival of mile marker 47. This time, a new discovery awaited, concealed in plain sight, awaiting my evolved gaze. Amidst the whisper of raindrops, the soft purr of my engine, and the quiet murmurs of a road sans conclusion, I embarked onward. In this realm where time loops endlessly, every moment birthed a fresh beginning, every turn unfurled a new mystery. Embracing the perpetual journey, I ventured forth into the unknown, ready to uncover the myriad layers of myself waiting to be unveiled. Story 9. The soft murmur of the wind weaving through ancient pine trees greeted me on that serene morning as I ventured along the meandering mountain path. Each step I took gently crunched against the fallen needles, composing a soothing melody that harmonized with the rhythm of my own heartbeat. A cloak of mist draped low and heavy, embracing the towering trees like a tender blanket, muffling even the faintest whispers of the wilderness. Solitary hikes had always been my solace, finding tranquility in the silent cradle of nature. Yet this morning felt different, a veil of stillness enveloping the surroundings with a depth I had never encountered before. Not even the usual symphony of birdsong graced the air, as if the mountain itself held its breath in anticipation. In my backpack rested an old leather journal, unearthed at an estate sale, its pages brimming with enigmatic musings about this very mountain range. The former owner, a seasoned naturalist who had roamed these lands for decades, chronicled peculiar occurrences that transpired amidst these lofty peaks. He spoke of places where sound gathered like water in hidden valleys, where distant whispers resonated crystal clear while nearby shouts dissipated into the ether. Ascending higher, the mist thickened and the silence deepened. My once comforting footsteps now felt distant and hushed, as though belonging to a ghostly echo. The air grew dense, gently pressing against my ears with a persistent weight. Pausing to sip water from my canteen, the act of swallowing reverberated in my mind, the sound twisting and distorting in a way that made me question if I truly heard it with my ears. The naturalist's writings led me to a specific clearing, identified by a circle of weathered stones, where the silence purportedly held its most profound presence. According to his accounts, those who stumbled upon it often encountered what he cryptically termed the quiet that speaks, though his elucidation of this phenomenon faded into fragmented enigmas towards the end of his entries. As the trail wound around a colossal boulder, the clearing came into view. 7 ancient stones, standing waist-high, formed a rough circle amidst the trees. Wisps of mist twirled and pirouetted between them, moving in a choreographed dance that seemed almost intentional. Within this realm of stillness, the mist continued its hypnotic ballet. Stepping into the circle, a subtle shift enveloped me. The pressure in my ears intensified, though not uncomfortably so. It was akin to being submerged in warm waters, the silence pulsating with a sentient quality, as if it were attuned to the act of listening. My own breath became inaudible, though the rise and fall of my chest remained palpable. The crunch of pine needles beneath my feet ceased entirely. Seating myself at the circle's heart, Leaning against one of the smaller stones, I opened the journal. The naturalist's final words beckoned to me. The silence narrates in whispers of memory. It unveils what you must hear, if only you learn to listen beyond your ears. Those words triggered a shift in my perception. The silence acquired texture and depth, akin to layers of diaphanous fabric gliding in harmony. Within that profound hush, I discerned sounds that defied reality. Children's laughter in a distant schoolyard, the rhythmic creak of my grandmother's rocking chair, the gentle patter of summer rain on a tin roof from years long gone. These were not mere recollections or echoes. They felt immediate and present, yet infinitely distant, as though the silence operated as a conduit for temporal echoes. Closing my eyes, I surrendered to these spectral sounds. Each whisper carried not just the auditory essence of the memory, but the full sensory immersion. The fragrance of my grandmother's lavender perfume, the caress of warm summer breeze, the taste of raindrops. Time ebbed away as I lingered in this cocoon of living silence. When I finally reopened my eyes, the sun was descending, its light barely piercing the eternal mist enfolding the circle. Rising to depart, a peculiar sight arrested my movement. My shadow on the earth was not alone. Faint yet distinct shadows moved at the periphery of my vision. When I turned to confront them, they dissolved, though their presence lingered. A final scribble on the journal's last page caught my gaze. They are the guardians of the quiet places, the curators of forgotten sounds. They harbor no malice. They simply yearn to share their treasury with those attuned to truly listening. Descending the mountain, the ambient sounds of the world gradually reclaimed their domain. The crunch of my steps, the whisper of wind through trees, the distant call of a solitary bird. Yet, an indelible mark had been left by the silence, a gentle resonance reverberating within my core. In moments preceding sleep, I sometimes catch those impossible sounds borne on the currents of silence. And in the darkest hush of night, I swear I glimpse those shadows at the edge of sight, patiently waiting to unveil their sonorous collection to those willing to heed. The naturalist spoke true. The mountain conceals enigmas within its silence, narratives inscribed in the void of sound. Despite numerous returns to that mountain, the clearing remains elusive. Perhaps it reveals itself solely to those yearning to heed the silence's message. Or perhaps, like the shadows in their trove of sounds, it exists in a liminal space where silence deepens to articulate. Story 10. The gentle patter of rain against weathered stone created a soothing melody as I stood by the ancient well in my grandmother's garden. The aged brick structure exuded a sense of mystery, its depths shrouded in shadow despite the warm glow of the lantern in my hand. The evening air carried the earthy aroma of rain-soaked soil and climbing roses, their fragrance heightened by the summer shower. It had been only a week since I inherited this old house following my grandmother's peaceful passing in her sleep. The property felt transformed now, not devoid of life, but imbued with a different kind of presence. The rain cascaded down in a rhythmic cadence, forming small rivulets that meandered down the well's worn stones. Though the well had always been sealed with a hefty wooden cover, something compelled me towards it on this particular night. Perhaps it was the peculiar way the raindrops reverberated as they descended into its depths. Or maybe it was the ethereal silver light that seemed to radiate from between the wooden slats. Drawn by an unseen force, I approached, the sweet scent of roses giving way to a more ancient aroma, the mineral essence of subterranean water and ancient rock. My fingers grazed the coarse wood, tracing each groove and imperfection weathered by countless seasons. The cover felt cool and slightly damp beneath my touch. A soft whisper of wind rustled the climbing roses, their thorny tendrils casting intricate shadows in the lantern's flickering light. With gentle insistence, I raised the ancient cover. It yielded more easily than expected, as if beckoning my touch. The the well yawning open to the night sky, and I held my lantern over its edge. The light caught numerous droplets of water clinging to the stone walls, transforming them into twinkling stars that seemed to pulse with an inner radiance. And then, I heard it. A sound so faint it could have been a figment of my imagination. A whispered melody drifting up from the darkness, akin to a lullaby sung from a great distance. The voice held no distinct gender or age, but encompassed all identities at once. It spoke of ancient truths, of secrets interred in stone and water, of memories enshrined in the cool obscurity below. I found myself seated beside the well, enraptured by the enchanting voice. The rain continued its gentle percussion on the garden stones, underscoring the enigmatic song. Time seemed fluid here, like honey trickling from a spoon, sweet and unhurried. My grandmother had regaled me with tales of this well, stories passed down through generations, but she had never mentioned the singing. Straining to listen more closely, I discerned words woven into the melody, though they morphed and eluded my grasp before I could comprehend their meaning. They evoked memories of the lullabies my grandmother used to sing, imbued with an otherworldly essence that sent pleasant shivers down my spine. The voice enveloped me like a warm embrace, comforting in its strangeness. The rain began to taper off, transitioning from a downpour to a gentle mist. In the deepening quiet, the well's song grew clearer. It narrated of verdant growth in darkness, of subterranean rivers untouched by sunlight, of crystals blossoming like flowers in concealed caverns. The language was foreign to me, yet I instinctively understood the message, akin to comprehending the language of music without need for translation. The flame of my lantern flickered, casting dancing shadows on the well's inner walls. Within those shadows, forms seemed to materialize, figures moving with liquid grace, akin to underwater dancers. They materialized and vanished in an instant, leaving me uncertain of what I had truly witnessed, yet their movements synchronized with the rhythm of the mysterious song. Time lost its relevance, hours blending seamlessly into minutes. Beside this ancient well teeming with secrets and songs, the passage of time felt inconsequential. The voice persisted in its melodic whispers, at times seeming to emanate from directly below, while at others appearing to resonate from the very stones themselves. A cool breeze stirred the garden, carrying the fragrance of damp foliage and night-blooming blossoms. The climbing roses swayed gently, casting shifting patterns in the lantern's glow. The voice from the well seemed attuned to this natural symphony, its melody ebbing and flowing like water around stones. Enveloped in the hypnotic interplay of rain, wind, and song, recollections of my grandmother surfaced. I envisioned her tending to these gardens, her touch tender as she pruned the roses. She would often pause in her labor to sit beside this very well, her countenance serene as she gazed into its depths. Had she too heard these voices? Had she lingered here on similar rainy nights, listening to their ancient melodies? The notion brought a comforting warmth, forging a connection through time between her experiences and mine. Perhaps that was why she had always exuded such tranquility in this garden, particularly near the well. She had grasped something that I was only now beginning to comprehend, that certain places harbor mysteries not meant to be unraveled, but simply embraced. The voice gradually waned as the night deepened, each note growing fainter with the passage of time. Yet it wasn't an ending, but a gentle retreat, akin to a parent quietly exiting a child's room after singing them to sleep. The final echoes lingered in the air like a fragrant mist, mingling with the sweet perfume of rain-kissed roses. I lingered by the well a while longer, watching as the mist enveloped my lantern's light in a soft halo. The stones glistened with moisture, and tiny droplets continued to descend from the rose petals, each capturing the light like a fallen star. The well's song had dissipated entirely, but its essence lingered in my mind, a melody just beyond the grasp of memory. As I finally rose to return to the house, a sense of serenity enveloped me, a deeper connection to this abode that was now mine. I chose not to replace the well's cover. Intuition whispered that it needed to breathe, to exchange its ancient melodies with the night's air. Thus, I left it exposed to the twinkling stars, aware that its enigmas awaited me on another rainy eve. Within the cozy confines of the house, the soft patter of rain persisted, now carrying traces of that otherworldly melody. As I readied myself for slumber, I realized that I had unearthed a truth my grandmother had long known, that the most profound mysteries often elude explanation, but thrive in their mere existence, akin to music in the shadows, like whispers from deep abysses, like recollections that surface in the hushed hours of night. That night, my dreams wove tales of subterranean rivers and crystalline gardens, of roses that blossomed in obscurity, and of melodies with no discernible beginning or end. When dawn broke, casting a golden glow through my window, the well stood silent in the garden. Yet now, I harbored its secret, that on certain nights, when the rain cascades just so and the roses perfume the air, ancient voices still serenade their timeless melodies to those patient enough to listen. Story 11. The gentle embrace of twilight draped over the ancient stone walls, like a whisper of purple silk. Standing at the threshold of the forsaken monastery, I witnessed the evening mist weaving through the decaying arches, carrying the delicate perfume of wild roses that intertwined with the weathered stones. A tranquil stillness hung in the air, a prelude to the nightfall, where even the feathered creatures seemed to pause in anticipation of the darkness. Intrigued by the tales of its ethereal allure, I ventured here to capture the ruins through the lens of my camera, finding solace in its unfamiliarity. The weight of my camera around my neck offered a reassuring presence amidst the silent echoes of the past. Sunlight waned, casting elongated shadows that pirouetted across the time-worn stones, each footstep reverberating softly through the deserted corridors, harmonizing with the gentle rustle of leaves carried by the evening zephyr. The monastery, a sentinel of centuries past, had now succumbed to the tender embrace of nature, with ivy enfolding the stone like an affectionate lover and moss adorning the floors in verdant patches of velvet. Venturing deeper into the labyrinthine complex, a subtle chill descended, contrasting the warmth of the summer evening. The air bore a faint humidity, causing the stone walls to glisten under the fleeting flashes of my camera. The play of light caught my eye, lingering in certain pockets longer than should be possible, bending around pillars in defiance of natural laws. A particular corridor beckoned to me, where ancient frescoes clung to the walls like fading memories, their figures seemingly shifting in the periphery of my vision. Yet as I turned to face them directly, they remained motionless and weathered. With the fading light, a peculiar quality in the wind that whispered through the ruins captured my attention. It moved not in aimless patterns, but with purpose, akin to unseen fingers trailing along the ancient walls. At times, the whispers almost formed words in a language just beyond my comprehension, teasing the edge of understanding. Setting up my tripod in what might have been the sanctuary, I readied my camera for long exposure shots in the fading light. Despite the decay, the space retained an aura of reverence. Stained glass fragments adorned window frames, casting kaleidoscopic patterns on the floor when illuminated by my flash. Amidst adjusting my camera settings, a subtle rhythm emerged in the ambient sounds enveloping me. The whispers of the wind grew more distinct, orchestrating a symphony as it meandered through the ruins, intertwining with the heady scent of roses and ancient moss. Enthralled by the melodic dance of sound and scent, I found myself swaying slightly to the hypnotic cadence. Peering through the viewfinder, I observed the shadows pooling in peculiar formations, responding to the wind's serenade as if alive, expanding and contracting with each breath of air. I clicked photo after photo, intuiting that these subtle movements transcended capture by my lens. As night draped itself more firmly over the monastery, the temperature plummeted, my breath forming wispy clouds in the air. The wind's whispers adopted an urgency, and amidst its currents, I fancied hearing my name carried in the symphony of stone passages and faint clicks of loose tiles. Compelled by an unnamed force, I ventured deeper into the heart of the ruins, my camera documenting the enigmatic shadows and ethereal moonlight that danced through the shattered roof, shaping almost recognizable forms. Within what appeared to be the monastery's library, vacant shelves lined the walls, their aged wood exuding an aura of antiquity. Here the wind's voice resonated clearest, turning the room into an invisible tome, its pages rustling with whispers on the brink of comprehension. The shadows deepened, pulsating gently with each breath of wind, their velvety depths entrancing and mysterious. Framing a final shot of moonlight cascading over the barren shelves, I closed my eyes, allowing the wind's melody to envelop me. It wove tales of bygone eras, of prayers whispered and secrets safeguarded, of lives intertwined with the very essence of these walls. Upon reopening my eyes, a subtle shift in the darkness around me beckoned my attention. The shadows now harbored depth, akin to windows into an alternate realm. The wind's song crescendoed, resonating within my core, though the air remained eerily still. In my peripheral vision, fleeting glimpses of robed figures glided through the bookshelves, vanishing upon my gaze. Reluctant to depart despite the lateness of the hour, I gathered my gear slowly, retracing my steps through the ruins while the wind whispered its farewell, the scent of roses saturating the air. Glancing back at the monastery's entrance, bathed in moonlight that rendered it ethereal, I sensed a shimmering in the ruins, suspended between realms and realities. Reviewing the photographs later revealed only crumbling stone and shadow, devoid of the mystique witnessed that night. Yet, in the stillness of midnight winds outside my window, echoes of that otherworldly hymn reach me. In dreams I return to those moonlit ruins, where the wind divulges its ancient secrets to attentive souls. Pondering the animated shadows and elusive whispers, I acknowledge the enigma of that night, a tale destined to reside in the liminal space between certainty and imagination. The monastery endures, its stones serenading the wind with their silent canticle. Sometimes the notion of revisiting lingers, of lingering in the ancient library until shadows deepen and whispers recommence. Yet an inkling tells me it shall never be the same. Some doorways, once passed through, vanish, existing solely in memory, in dreams, and in the narratives we weave when night descends and the wind's voice resonates with echoes of understanding just beyond reach. Story 12. The gentle patter of autumn rain on weathered stones filled the night with a soothing cadence, a natural melody that enveloped my grandmother's Victorian home in a cocoon of tranquility. Inheriting the property a mere fortnight ago, I found myself irresistibly drawn to its silent nooks and hidden crannies, uncovering enigmatic secrets within its ancient walls. Tonight, as I sat in the library, bathed in the warm glow of a vintage brass lamp, my focus kept drifting to a peculiar sound emanating from beneath the floorboards. It was not the usual creak of aged timber or the whisper of wind through crevices, but a distinct quality of its own, akin to water flowing through ancient conduits, yet with a melodic undertone. The house, my grandmother had often said, harbored untold mysteries, but none as captivating as the ancient cistern that lay dormant beneath its foundations. Constructed in a bygone era when rainwater collection was essential, the subterranean chamber had long been sealed off, or so I had been led to believe. However, as I listened to the ethereal melody rising from below, a nagging curiosity tugged at my thoughts, suggesting that a part of it may still linger, concealed in the shadows beneath. With each passing moment, the sound grew clearer, not in volume, but in definition. It evoked the muffled yet crystalline resonance of wind chimes beneath the waves, a paradoxical harmony that defied logic yet existed in that mysterious realm. As the rain outside intensified, the enigmatic hum seemed to ebb and flow, as if attuned to the rhythm of the weather. I found myself navigating the ground floor corridors, tracing the sound like a silken thread through a labyrinth. My footsteps made no sound on the aged floorboards, and the familiar creaks of the house fell silent, as if the very structure itself was listening alongside me. The flickering shadows cast by the brass lamp danced on the walls, animating the floral wallpaper in my peripheral vision. Beneath a time-worn rug in the kitchen, once belonging to my great-grandmother, I stumbled upon a concealed trap door that had eluded my notice until now. The aged wood felt smooth to the touch. A brass ring pull nestled flush against its surface. The resonant hum was undeniably stronger here, a whispered conversation rising through the floor like a clandestine secret just beyond comprehension. With a trembling hand, not of fear but of anticipation, I raised the ring, opening the door effortlessly to reveal stone steps descending into darkness. The cool, mineral-laden air wafting upwards carried the essence of ancient caves and forgotten wells as I descended cautiously, each step deliberate, the amber glow of my lamp seemingly absorbed by the very atmosphere. The walls, fashioned from meticulously placed stone blocks, spoke of a craftsmanship lost to time. Somewhere in the shadows, water trickled, creating a symphony of intentional patterns that danced around me. At the chamber's base, a circular expanse unfolded before me. The vast cistern loomed in obscurity, its true scale obscured beyond the reach of my lamp's flicker. The water's surface gleamed mirror-smooth, reflecting light in a dance that defied depth perception. Subtle ripples materialized and vanished without origin, capturing the light like molten gold. Yet it was the haunting melody that held me spellbound. Here, at its source, I grasped the essence of what I had been hearing. The chamber's acoustics transmuted each droplet into a musical note, while the rain above, filtering through layers of earth and stone, composed a symphony of delicate impacts. The water itself seemed to resonate with the chamber, crafting harmonies that defied the laws of mere fluid dynamics. Standing there, immersed in the enchanting serenade, I discerned something more. Amidst the water's melodic reverie, whispers intertwined, voices of perhaps memories or figments of the mind seeking patterns in chaos. They spoke in tongues almost familiar, narrating tales that felt profound yet eluded comprehension. Time lost its measure within that subterranean sanctum, quantified not in minutes but in drops and ripples. The lamp's glow waned imperceptibly as the darkness itself adopted a life of its own, teeming with shifting motifs and subtle motions. When I ascended the stone steps back to the surface, the night had deepened considerably. The rain had ceased, and with it the spectral melody had dwindled to a mere murmur at the edge of perception. Replacing the rug over the trapdoor, I knew I would return. The cistern's aria had intertwined with the house's heartbeat, a clandestine symphony perpetually resonating beneath our feet. Each night, as I recline in bed, I strain to catch that ethereal music. Sometimes it resonates crystal clear, other times a fleeting whisper that verges on imagination. Yet I've come to realize that certain enigmas are not meant for resolution. They are meant for immersion, to be felt in the quiet interludes between thoughts, in the ephemeral spaces between raindrops. The cistern persists in its eternal recital, performing for an audience of stone and shadow. And occasionally, in dreams more vivid than reality, I decipher cryptic messages within the water's melody, echoes from aeons past carried on undulating waves of sound. Yet the significance they impart, the ancient wisdom or forsaken lore they enshroud, remains just beyond my grasp, akin to capturing the essence of rain's memory. Story 13. The wooden steps groaned beneath my weight as I climbed the narrow staircase of the ancient lighthouse keeper's dwelling. Each step I took reverberated through the spiraling passageway, as if the walls themselves held memories of bygone days. Outside, the autumn breeze caressed the weathered exterior, creating a gentle, soothing melody that seemed to harmonize with the very essence of the building. It was my grandmother's cryptic letter that had lured me to this place, where time seemed to ebb and flow like the tides, blurring the line between reality and reverie. The air carried hints of aged books and briny sea spray, mingling with the earthy aroma of rain-kissed wood. Tracing my fingers along the intricate carvings of the mahogany banister on the third floor, I felt the history etched into each groove, smoothed over by countless hands that had come before mine. As I reached the landing, the soft glow of evening sunlight filtered through tall windows, casting elongated shadows that danced gracefully across the faded wallpaper. My grandmother's final message nestled in my coat pocket, its corners worn soft from repeated perusals. The tower guard's secrets, her elegant script had penned. But they're secrets that murmur rather than bellow, that beckon rather than startle. When the time is right, follow the path of the slanting shadow. It will reveal forgotten truths. The topmost floor unveiled a circular chamber bathed in perpetual twilight. Dust motes floated lazily in the amber light streaming through the windows, enveloping the carefully arranged furniture. A high-backed chair, a table bearing a brass lamp, and walls adorned with enigmatic instruments of unknown purpose. Yet, it was the tower itself, visible through the eastern window, that captured my gaze, its distinctive lean defying the laws of physics against the darkening sky. Seating myself in the plush reading chair, the leather seemed to mold around me, as though anticipating my arrival. The warm glow of the brass lamp barely reached the room's edges, shrouding them in comforting obscurity. Below, the building emitted a rhythmic symphony of settling wood and gentle creaks, as if it were alive, breathing in tandem with me. My grandmother had devoted 4 decades to this abode, serving as both keeper of the light and guardian of the tower's enigmas. Locals spoke of her with reverence and awe, recounting sightings of flickering lights in the tower during odd hours, strains of ethereal music that emanated from nowhere and everywhere, and visitors who departed with serene smiles, their newfound knowledge veiled in secrecy. As the sun descended, a remarkable occurrence unfolded. The tower's elongated shadow, cast by the setting sun, began to move across the floor in a mesmerizing dance that defied logic. Instead of a linear progression, it traced a peculiar pattern, seemingly reaching out to specific objects in the room. A silver box on the mantel, an ancient compass on the wall, and finally settling on an unassuming section of the wooden paneling. Following my grandmother's cryptic instructions, I waited until the shadow aligned perfectly with a faint seam in the paneling. With a gentle push, the section swung inward, unveiling a narrow passageway spiraling upward into the heart of the tower itself. A waft of warm air, tinged with a hint of lavender, my grandmother's beloved flower, drifted down, guiding my ascent. The passage was lined with luminescent stones that emitted a soft glow, illuminating the way ahead. The walls bore inscriptions that seemed to shift and morph when I attempted to decipher them directly. With each step upward, the tower's lean grew more pronounced, yet I maintained an uncanny equilibrium, as if the skewed angle was the tower's natural state. Emerging into the uppermost chamber, I found myself in a space that defied spatial logic. Circular windows offered vistas in every direction, each revealing a different tableau: calm seas at sunset, star-studded skies, and unfamiliar landscapes that eluded recognition. At the room's center stood a curious device, part astronomical instrument, part music box, its gleaming brass and copper components moving with inexplicable grace, devoid of visible mechanisms. Beside the contraption lay a supple, leather-bound notebook filled with my grandmother's elegant script. My dearest, the initial page greeted me. You've reached the heart of it all. The tower has awaited your arrival, as it awaited mine and others before us. What lies before you is not merely a device, but a key to unlocking the gentle mysteries that dwell in the interstices of time, in the pauses between breaths, in the silences between heartbeats. Subsequent pages held instructions unlike any I had encountered, resembling poetic suggestions crafted in the language of dreams and physics. They spoke of attuning to the instrument not through sight or touch, but by intuiting its desires, by harmonizing with the tower's incline. As night enveloped the chamber, comprehension began to dawn. The tower's slant was not a flaw but a design, a precise angle meant to capture unseen currents of time and potential that permeated the world. The instrument at the room's core materialized these currents, not as quantifiable data, but as ethereal experiences to be felt and remembered. Hours slipped away like fleeting moments as I communed with the instrument, absorbing its cadence, perceiving the subtle nuances of its responses. Occasionally, glimpses flickered in the windows. My grandmother as a young woman, gazing out with wonder, children from a bygone era frolicking in a vanished garden, vessels sailing under unborn constellations. With the deepening night came a profound tranquility. I comprehended why my grandmother had described the tower's secrets as whispers rather than clamors. They were truths that transcended comprehension, truths that demanded acceptance and appreciation rather than explanation. As dawn approached, I retraced my steps down the spiraling passage, emerging into the circular chamber just as the first blush of morning painted the sky in pastel hues. The tower's elongated shadow now pointed west, heralding a new day, yet I knew it would resume its enigmatic trajectory come nightfall. Settling back into the reading chair, I felt the weight of the night's revelations envelop me like a familiar embrace. The brass lamp cast a soft radiance, mingling with the dawn's gentle light filtering through the windows. In the distance, seabirds called out in greeting. Their voices carried on the whispering breeze that caressed the tower's time-worn stones. My grandmother's missive now felt like an invitation, a gateway to a legacy only just beginning to unfurl. The tower would continue its celestial lean, capturing moments and mysteries in its graceful slant, and I would bear witness, learning, contributing my own tales to its treasury of gentle enigmas. The morning light intensified, yet I remained ensconced in the chair, attuned to the building's rhythmic exhalations, sensing time's fluid passage through the tower's tilted chambers. More discoveries awaited, more revelations beckoned. But for now, being present in this realm where reality bent slightly to accommodate magic sufficed. As my grandmother had inscribed, some secrets murmured rather than shouted, and the tower stood sentinel, perpetually leaning towards the heavens, amassing narratives like stardust, imparting them to those willing to listen not just with their ears, but with their hearts. Story 14. In the soft, gentle rain, the leaves rustled and whispered secrets as I wandered through the forest. Each step I took was cushioned by a thick layer of pine needles, muffling the sound like a lullaby. The late afternoon light filtered through the canopy above, casting a dreamy, ethereal glow over everything it touched. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and moss, intertwined with the sweet perfume of wild mushrooms scattered across the forest floor. Usually, these solitary walks brought me solace, but today felt different. The familiar path seemed to twist and turn in unfamiliar ways, and the ancient trees, standing tall and watchful, appeared to lean in closer than ever before. Their branches swayed gently, creating a symphony of whispers high above, as if sharing secrets only they could understand. As I ventured deeper into the woods, a delicate mist began to rise from the ground, curling around the tree trunks like ghostly fingers. The temperature dropped slightly, sending a shiver down my spine and raising goosebumps on my skin. The rain continued its gentle patter, but now it seemed to carry a new melody, beckoning me onward with a subtle, hypnotic rhythm. Through the swirling mist, I noticed something peculiar. Weathered stone walls, covered in emerald moss, emerged from between the trees. They formed the entrance to a labyrinth, their surfaces etched with shifting patterns that seemed to come alive as I gazed at them. The stones exuded a strange warmth, and as I touched them, I felt a gentle vibration, like an ancient lullaby humming beneath my fingertips. The moss felt velvety soft and glowed faintly, emitting a soft light that grew more pronounced as daylight faded. Without conscious choice, I found myself following the walls as they twisted and turned, revealing intricate designs and new types of moss and lichen in shades of green, silver, and midnight blue. Enigmatic flowers bloomed in the crevices, their iridescent petals shimmering like moonlight made manifest. Deeper into the labyrinth I ventured, the outside world fading away as the rain's rhythm changed once more, syncing with the beat of my heart. The mist danced at my feet, mirroring the patterns on the walls, while in the distance, the distant tinkling of wind chimes echoed through the air, though no breeze stirred the stillness around me. Time seemed to lose its grip as I meandered through the labyrinth, the soft glow of light surrounding me in a timeless embrace. The walls began to tell stories, depicting scenes of ancient forests and mysterious beings that defied description. Each turn revealed a new wonder, a new mystery to unravel in this hidden realm. As I rounded a corner, I discovered a circular clearing at the heart of the labyrinth. In the center, a pool of water lay still as black glass, disturbed only by ephemeral ripples that danced against the falling rain. Stone benches encircled the pool, each one intricately carved with shifting patterns reminiscent of those on the walls. Sinking onto one of the benches, I felt the warmth of the stone seep through my clothes, the rain creating ethereal patterns on the water's surface. Light danced in mesmerizing circles, reflecting fleeting visions in the pool's depths. A library of self-turning books, a garden where flowers bloomed and withered in the blink of an eye, a staircase disappearing into endless darkness. A haunting melody, wordless and ancient, filled the air, blending with the rain and the murmurs of the trees to create a harmony that resonated deep within my soul. The mist wove intricate shapes around the clearing, hinting at ephemeral figures before dissipating into formless vapor. As I gazed into the pool, images materialized before my eyes, each one a glimpse into a world beyond the tangible. Were these visions real, or mere reflections of a reality unseen? The boundary between the known and the unknown blurred, and I found myself becoming part of the labyrinth's enigmatic song, a melody that transcended time and space. Eventually, I realized that the path leading into the clearing had transformed, offering 3 new passages shrouded in mist. The walls pulsed with inner light, casting ever-shifting shadows that seemed to breathe and move. Though the familiar path beckoned, I chose a new direction, guided by a sense of peace and acceptance that enveloped me like a comforting cloak. The distant chimes grew louder, then faded, replaced by a distant, ethereal singing that seemed to emanate from the very stones around me. The mist parted, revealing the path one step at a time, each footfall leading me deeper into the labyrinth's embrace. Fear was absent, replaced by a profound tranquility that filled me to the core. The rain continued its gentle descent, the mist continued its hypnotic dance, and above, stars twinkled through the unseen canopy, casting their faint light upon the hidden world I had entered. I never returned to the forest path that day, instead emerging from the labyrinth into my own garden, the stone walls melting into rows of blossoming bushes, the mystical patterns fading into ordinary shadows. The rain had ceased, leaving droplets clinging to every leaf and petal, capturing the fading light in a myriad of shimmering hues. Sometimes, in the corner of my eye, I catch glimpses of those shifting patterns, or hear the distant chimes on the edge of sleep. The labyrinth's melody lingers in my dreams, calling me back to its mysterious depths. On rainy days, when the mist rises and the light takes on a familiar quality, I find myself searching for the hidden walls among the trees, wondering if the labyrinth still waits, ready to unveil its magic to those willing to seek it out. Perhaps it exists only in that liminal space between waking and dreaming, a testament to the mysteries that lie beyond our understanding. Or maybe it is a timeless presence, forever hidden yet always present, waiting for the next wanderer to stumble upon its ancient paths. The rain falls, the mist rises, and in a forest that may be real or imagined, a labyrinth of stones continues its eternal dance with time and memory, a silent guardian of secrets waiting to be unraveled by those who dare to listen to its whispered tales. Story 15. The soft patter of rain against the aged wooden shingles serenaded the night as I settled into my newfound abode. An ancient Victorian manor, once home to owners veiled in secrecy, stood tall yet aloof from the world outside. The realtor had been cryptic about its past, offering only a curiously low price and vague responses to my inquiries. Through the tall windows, I observed the autumn leaves pirouetting across the neglected garden, their rustling harmonizing with the rhythmic drumming of raindrops. The gentle glow of my reading lamp cast elongated shadows on the vintage wallpaper, creating elusive patterns that seemed to shift and morph when caught in the corner of my eye. The house came partially furnished, yet devoid of any personal effects left behind by its previous inhabitants. No photographs, no letters, no remnants of the lives that once unfolded within these walls. The furniture, an assortment of ornate wooden pieces from various epochs, appeared as though collected over centuries rather than mere decades. Nestling deeper into the plush armchair by the hearth, a peculiar sensation enveloped me. The house felt both familiar and foreign, akin to a recurring dream where reality eluded precise recollection. The crackling fire cast a warm aura around the room, its radiance bouncing off the crystal chandelier suspended from the ceiling, painting prismatic hues that danced across the walls. The grandfather clock in the hallway chimed 9 times, its deep resonance reverberating through the empty hallways. Yet, a peculiar discordance lingered in its tone, as if the sound traversed a dense fog before reaching my ears. I found myself mechanically counting the chimes, although I couldn't recall winding the clock since my arrival. A gentle breeze whispered through the room, despite all windows securely shut against the autumn chill. The flames in the hearth flickered, casting fleeting shadows that almost took on recognizable shapes. The fragrance of ancient books and weathered wood wafted through the air, intermingled with a sweeter undertone reminiscent of dried flowers pressed between aged pages. Standing up from the chair, I felt drawn to explore the manifold rooms of the house. Each doorway led to spaces that defied the external dimensions of the manor. The library, with its towering shelves and mobile ladder, housed volumes inscribed in unfamiliar languages, their spines adorned with enigmatic symbols instead of letters. Tracing my fingers along their leather bindings, I sensed a subtle warmth, as if the books themselves teemed with forgotten wisdom. The kitchen, with its copper pots dangling from iron racks and colossal hearth, appeared suspended in time. Modern appliances awkwardly coexisted with 19th century culinary tools, akin to anachronistic guests in a historical drama. The marble countertops bore faint stains that metamorphosed in color under varying light angles, forming patterns reminiscent of celestial charts. Ascending the winding staircase to the upper floor, each step emitted a musical note, weaving an eerie melody that seemed to trail behind me. The polished banister felt smooth beneath my touch, imprinted by the hands of countless predecessors. However, upon reaching the landing, I realized I couldn't recall the number of steps I had ascended. The corridor upstairs extended beyond what seemed feasible, lined with doors that never maintained the same position upon a second glance. Paintings adorned the walls in between the doors, depicting landscapes of surreal realms, mountains curving towards lavender skies, forests where trees defied gravity, oceans flowing upward. In the master bedroom, moonlight filtered through delicate lace curtains, casting intricate designs on the hardwood floor. The grand four-poster bed dominated the space, its heavy burgundy drapes swaying slightly without a breath of wind. The mirror above the vanity reflected the room flawlessly, except for sporadic moments when the reflection lagged a fraction of a second behind my movements. Swinging open the closet door unveiled a depth that seemed to surpass the exterior dimensions of the house. Empty hangers swayed gently, emitting a soft, melodic tinkling as their metal hooks clinked together. Nestled at the back of the closet, barely discernible in the dimness, stood another door, smaller, crafted from dark wood, with a gleaming brass handle that beckoned invitingly. I found myself drawn to that handle countless times during my initial weeks in the house, yet never quite mustered the courage to grasp it. Each approach enveloped the air with the aroma of rain-soaked soil and an ancient essence deeper than petrichor. The basement door remained locked, with no key among the ring inherited with the house. In the late hours, faint sounds would occasionally ascend through the floorboards, not eerie, but rather akin to distant music played on unfamiliar instruments. The melody felt familiar, though I knew I had never heard it before. Time within the house's confines began to warp. Some evenings lingered for what seemed like eternities, while entire weeks slipped by in what felt like mere moments. The grandfather clock persisted in its irregular chiming, yet conspicuously refrained from striking midnight. The interval between 11 and 1 elongated like warm taffy, resonating with the soft sounds of settling furniture and creaking floorboards that almost formed coherent whispers. The house appeared to mirror my emotions. On desolate days, the rooms expanded, the ceiling soared higher, as if affording my sorrow ample space to dissipate. During moments of joy, the walls seemed to draw closer, crafting snug corners ideal for reading or introspection. The ambient temperature subtly shifted, maintaining a state of perfect comfort without any adjustment to the thermostat. Visitors were scarce, and those who did venture inside seldom lingered. They would fall silent after a few minutes, their gazes flitting to corners where shadows deepened inexplicably. Conversations would taper off midway, replaced by contemplative quietude. Upon departing, guests often struggled to recollect specific details about their visit, as if the house itself had tenderly erased their memories. My dreams intensified, inundated with visions of the house across varied epochs. I beheld it anew, its wood pristine and lustrous. I witnessed it ancient, ensconced in vines blossoming with flowers long extinct. I observed it in seasons that never came to pass, beneath skies housing multiple suns. Each morning, uncertainty lingered as to whether I had dreamt at all, or if the house had merely imparted its memories unto me. One tranquil evening, while engrossed in deciphering one of the enigmatic books in the library, I caught sight of my reflection in the window. Behind me, the room appeared altered, the furniture rearranged, the walls painted in a different hue, the bookshelves stocked with disparate volumes. When I turned to inspect, everything reverted to its original state, yet the reflection sustained its alternate reality. It dawned on me that the house coexisted in myriad temporal realms simultaneously, akin to pages of a book stacked atop each other. Occasionally, the pages would shift, affording glimpses between them. The house hadn't forsaken its past. It had merely accrued too many to subsist within a solitary present. Now, as I pen these words by candlelight, the electricity functions seamlessly, but the house seems to favor gentler illumination. I sense the weight of countless untold tales gently pressing against my consciousness. The rain persists in its tranquil melody on the roof, accompanied by the erratic chimes of the grandfather clock and the hushed murmurs of vacant chambers. I have ceased attempting to decipher why the house selected me, or why the previous occupants vanished entirely. Some enigmas, I've come to realize, possess a profound beauty when left unanswered. The house safeguards its mysteries, revealing them solely in fragments, in dreams, in instants, when the light cascades just so upon the time-worn wooden floors. Perhaps one day, I too shall meld into the house's tapestry of memories, evolving into another stratum in its infinite history. Until then, I abide here, attuned to the tranquil symphony of a house existing beyond time, perusing books inscribed in languages that may never have existed, and mastering the silent tongue of chambers that harbor all but disclose naught. The grandfather clock chimes anew, an hour unbeknownst, and somewhere within the house, a door unveils a room that eluded existence yesterday. I smile, cognizant it shall vanish upon seeking it, only to re-emerge once forgotten entirely. This is home now, in all its implausible moments, in all its unspoken sagas, in all its bygone eras that never were and futures that may yet materialize. Story 16. The gentle patter of autumn rain against the weathered stone created a soothing symphony, nature's own lullaby in the deepening twilight. Standing before the ancient church, its spire reaching toward the clouds veiled in evening mist, I found myself immersed in a dance of fallen leaves swirling gracefully around my feet. The air was heavy with the earthy scent of damp soil and aged wood, tinged with a hint of something older, something that murmured of forgotten prayers and silent tolling bells. This place, this sacred sanctuary, had not been my intended destination. Lost in the maze of winding paths during an evening stroll that turned unfamiliar with the onset of rain, I was led by unseen forces to this timeless haven. The church's weathered front bore the gentle caress of countless seasons, its stone walls cloaked in a soft moss that seemed to emit a faint, ethereal glow as darkness descended. Pushing open the heavy wooden door, it swung with surprising ease, releasing a melodious sigh that reverberated through the empty nave, muffling the rain outside into a distant lullaby that only deepened the profound silence within. Stained glass windows, their hues muted by the fading light, painted feeble pools of amber and violet on the worn stone floors. Each step I took echoed softly against the ancient flagstones, the air enveloping me in a crystalline stillness, a tranquil aura preserved within the very essence of the building. Rows of polished wooden pews stretched out before me, bearing the marks of countless hands and whispered prayers, witnesses to generations of devotion. The aroma of aged wood and stone mingled with the faint traces of extinguished candles, weaving a tapestry of scents that spoke of reverence and time forgotten. In the dimming light, intricate carvings adorned the walls and columns, their figures seeming to shift and transform with each glance, their expressions oscillating between tranquility and enigma. Near the altar, a solitary candle flickered in a brass holder, its flame casting dancing shadows that moved with a purpose I couldn't comprehend. The patterns they formed on the ancient stones drew my gaze towards a narrow wooden door nestled discreetly in the wall. Though unassuming, there was a gentle yet insistent pull emanating from it, beckoning me forward. Beyond the door, a spiral staircase ascended into darkness, each step worn by the passage of countless souls before mine. As I climbed, the sound of rain grew stronger, evolving into a rhythmic melody akin to music. The air turned cooler, carrying with it the fresh scent of night and something sweet and ancient, a fragrance that eluded my grasp. Emerging into the bell tower chamber, moonlight filtered through narrow windows, casting silver pathways across the floor despite the lingering rain clouds outside. In a corner stood an old wooden desk, strewn with leather-bound books and weathered papers. The pages were filled with fading ink, the words on them just beyond the threshold of legibility, no matter how hard I tried to decipher them. Approaching the desk, the sound of bells filled the chamber, not the thunderous tolling of church bells, but a delicate chime akin to silver wind chimes swayed by a gentle breeze. The great bell above remained motionless, its bronze surface reflecting the enigmatic moonlight. The chiming seemed to echo from all directions at once, instilling a profound sense of tranquility in the space. Time lost its relevance within that chamber. Seated in an aged wooden chair, I watched as shadows and moonlight performed a slow, hypnotic ballet across the floor. The ethereal bells intertwined with the rain's melody, weaving a tune that whispered of ancient enigmas and forgotten reveries. At times, fleeting movements caught the corner of my eye, the flutter of robes, the passing of shadows that seemed more substantial than mere darkness. The papers on the desk rustled sporadically, though no breeze stirred the air, revealing fragments of sentences that spoke of time as a fluid entity, of moments existing beyond the constraints of ordinary hours, of prayers resounding endlessly through the chambers of reality. My watch had ceased its ticking at some point, its hands frozen at midnight, despite the impossibility of the hour. Yet the darkness outside the windows remained unchanged, neither deepening nor dissipating. The rain continued its melodic serenade, its drops falling in intricate patterns that lingered in the air before vanishing. The chamber exuded a profound peace, alive with a silent energy that hummed beneath the surface. Each shadow held untold potential, every silence pregnant with unspoken truths. The boundaries between wakefulness and dreams blurred, not in a disorienting manner, but in a gentle melding that invited deeper contemplation. The very air seemed to pulse with ancient wisdom, eager to divulge its secrets to those patient enough to listen. Occasionally, when the moonlight struck the walls at precise angles, elegant script appeared on the stone, flowing like water before dissolving once more. Though the words remained just out of reach, they left behind fleeting impressions of tales woven by past visitors who had stumbled upon this timeless refuge. Lost in the embrace of the rain's rhythmic melody and the ethereal bells chiming, I sat transfixed by the interplay of light and shadow on the ancient stones. Time meandered like honey, sweet and languid, as the peace of the chamber seeped into my very being, replacing urgency with serene acceptance. Descending the spiral staircase later, the solitary candle by the altar burned steadfastly, its flame unwavering. The nave was bathed in a soft, pre-dawn glow that seemed to emanate from all directions, as if the very stones had absorbed the essence of my presence during my vigil above. Stepping out into the morning shrouded in a gentle mist that had replaced the rain, I cast a final glance back at the church. Faces, kind and ancient, briefly materialized in the windows, their smiles brimming with knowing wisdom before dissipating like dew under the morning sun. Since that transcendent encounter, I have sought to rediscover the path to that mystical church on numerous occasions, yet it always eludes me. But on quiet rainy evenings, a distant echo of silver bells on the breeze reminds me that somewhere, in its own secluded realm of time, the forgotten church endures. Its mysteries linger, patiently awaiting the next wanderer, guided by the soothing cadence of raindrops and the enigmatic whispers of ancient stones. Story 17. The ancient house took on a new essence as twilight descended. Nestled in my grandfather's worn leather armchair, I witnessed the golden rays of daylight vanish, allowing shadows to elongate and waltz across the creaking wooden floors. Raindrops tapped rhythmically against the window panes, harmonizing with the soft crackle of the fireplace. Inheriting this dwelling 3 months back, I found solace in its weathered charm during the day, yet the nights held a mysterious allure that defied explanation. The air thickened, laden with an inexplicable weight of darkness. The fragrance of aged books and cedar wood enveloped every nook, blending with the earthy scent of rain-soaked soil seeping through the slightly askew window frames. My gaze shifted to the grandfather clock in the corner, its rhythmic ticking slicing through time unwaveringly. The brass pendulum swayed hypnotically, casting fluid reflections on the dim wallpaper. As drowsiness crept over me, a peculiar sight caught my eye at the window across the room, a detail unnoticed in prior nights. Raindrops cascading down the glass seemed to flow sideways, defying gravity. I blinked slowly, questioning if fatigue played tricks on my mind. The fire's warm glow lent the window a liquid sheen, its glass rippling subtly in a manner incongruous with glass's nature. Rising from the chair, my sock-clad feet padded silently towards the window, each step measured. The closer I drew, the more anomalies I discerned. The frame, once assumed to be dark wood like the rest, now shimmered iridescently, akin to moonlit mother of pearl. The glass felt peculiar to the touch, neither warm nor cold, yet somehow both simultaneously. Peering through, the external view deviated from expectation. Instead of the garden with its unruly rose bushes and stone path, a gentle pulsating fog greeted me, radiating an inner luminescence. Shapes ebbed and flowed within the mist, neither wholly solid nor entirely shadow, a dance reminiscent of half-forgotten dreams. The clock chimed 9, its resonant toll saturating the room. Each note rippled through the mysterious fog beyond the window, momentarily halting the ethereal dance within. Rainfall intensified, now carrying whispers, not menacing, but gentle murmurs akin to leaves rustling in a summer breeze. Seating myself on the window ledge, my reflection in the glass fading, I fixated on the enigmas outside. The fog began to thin in patches, unveiling glimpses of a room, yet one improbably located beyond this second-story window. Elegant furniture fragments, levitating books, and a mirrored window facing mine materialized within my view. The whispers, though still unintelligible, exuded a warmth akin to familiar voices conversing just beyond earshot. Rain's scent metamorphosed into a complex blend, notes of vanilla, aged parchment, and an indescribably sweet floral essence. The air hummed gently around the window, resonating like the aftermath of a bell's toll. Time seemed to warp as I sat transfixed. The clock's ticking slowed, seconds elongating like honey trickling from a spoon. Shapes in the fog weaved tales through patterns, narratives of bygone nights, past observers, and other windows. Flickers of individuals who might have once occupied my spot surfaced, their countenances serene and inquisitive, hands outstretched towards the glass as mine were. The dwindling fire cast new shadows that danced across the window's surface, within which elegant script materialized and dissolved, conveying unknown languages I inexplicably comprehended. They spoke of doorways, thresholds, and interstitial spaces, of rooms existing within reality's folds. Fatigue weighed upon my eyelids, yet I resisted succumbing to slumber, fearful of missing the next revelation in that enigmatic vista. The fog continued its languid ballet, occasionally parting to unveil tantalizing glimpses of the impossible chamber beyond. At times I discerned movement, billowing drapes, shifting shadows, or even the semblance of a figure seated akin to my grandfather. The whispers evolved into a soothing lullaby, harmonizing with the rain in a gentle symphony. They hinted at secrets, concealed realms, and worlds just beyond the fragile glass barrier. Drifting between wakefulness and sleep, between this room and that other realm, I eventually succumbed to weariness. A soft click, akin to an unlocked door, and the faintest creak of hinges lingered on the edge of my perception before slumber claimed me. Awakening at dawn, blanketed in warmth I didn't recall seeking, I found the window reverted to its mundane view of the rain-soaked garden. Yet on the ledge lay a solitary sheet of paper, its edges curling, adorned with ever-shifting elegant script that eluded my comprehension. Nightly, by the window I wait and watch. Sometimes the fog materializes, sometimes it dissipates. Occasionally, the otherworldly chamber emerges, while at other times, only shadows linger. Yet always present are the whispers, the gentle rain, and the promise of revelations awaiting discovery. And in those moments when the clock chimes 9 and the fire wanes, I ponder if an unseen observer in that other realm is also watching, pen poised, crafting tales of a window peering into our world. Story 18. The soft rain tapped gently against my bedroom window, rousing me from a deep slumber. Its steady rhythm was a comforting lullaby in the early morning darkness. I had always found solace in the sound of raindrops, but on this particular night, they carried a mysterious whisper, beckoning me to listen closely. The gentle drops seemed to murmur words just beyond my grasp, like a faint conversation drifting through thick walls. Compelled by an inexplicable urge, I rose from my bed and made my way to the window. Outside, the world was shrouded in a thick blanket of fog that seemed to emit a soft inner glow, turning familiar shapes into enigmatic silhouettes. Through the ethereal mist, a faint blue light pulsed in the distance, barely visible yet alluring. It called out to me with a silent insistence that I could not resist. Wrapped in a cozy wool sweater, I ventured outside into the cool, damp air. The fog caressed my ankles like gentle waves, carrying with it the unmistakable scent of salt water, a scent foreign in a land far from the ocean. Despite the miles of separation, the sea's essence hung in the air, carried by a breeze that defied logic. As I followed the pulsing light, the ground beneath me transformed. The solid earth gave way to soft sand, its fine grains cool and wet beneath my bare feet, though I had no memory of removing my shoes. The transition of my surroundings was so gradual that I scarcely realized when the suburban streets vanished, replaced by endless dunes stretching into the misty unknown. The blue light intensified, its rhythmic pulses aligning with the sound of phantom waves that replaced the rain. Each pulse illuminated the fog from within, creating watery patterns in the mist. In these fleeting moments of light, I glimpsed a colossal form emerging in the distance, the outline of what seemed to be an ancient sailing vessel, its masts reaching skyward like skeletal fingers. Time flowed differently in this surreal landscape, a languid stream bending and twisting like honey. Each step I took felt both fleeting and everlasting. The ship loomed larger in my sight, yet remained distant, as if painted upon the very fabric of the fog. Its weathered sails fluttered in an unseen wind, and the aged wooden hull groaned with the weight of untold years. The sound of footsteps in wet sand drew my attention, not my own, but those of unseen others approaching from behind. When I turned to gaze, all I saw were swirling shapes in the mist, human-like forms that dissolved when I tried to focus. Their whispers lingered, sharing tales of a ship that traversed between realms, appearing only on nights when the line between reality and dreams blurred. As I stood transfixed by the phantom vessel, details began to shift when I looked away. The figurehead morphed from mermaid to sea serpent to weeping woman and back again. The number of masts fluctuated with each pulse of blue light. Even the size of the ship wavered, at times resembling a humble fishing boat, at others rivaling the grandest vessels ever crafted. Water crept up around my feet, though no waves touched the shore. It rose deliberately, until I stood ankle-deep in tranquil water that mirrored the fog above. In that reflective pool, I saw the ship as it once was, majestic sails billowing in an imaginary breeze, brass fittings gleaming under a sun that did not exist in this realm, and shadowy figures moving purposefully across its decks. With a final, intense pulse of blue light, I beheld them, the passengers and crew frozen in time, their expressions serene and untroubled by the dual existence of their vessel. Some gazed towards me, their eyes reflecting the same ethereal glow that had led me here, conveying a sense of choice rather than confinement. They were precisely where they desired to be. The water receded from my feet, carrying with it the clarity of the vision before me. The ship's silhouette faded, its edges blending into the mist until it was indistinguishable from the fog itself. The whispers grew fainter, merging with the distant murmur of waves. When I turned to depart, the path home had transformed. The shore extended endlessly in both directions, the dunes reshaped into unfamiliar contours in the dim light. Yet, as if guided by an unseen force, my feet knew the way, guiding me through the shifting landscape. The tang of sea salt gradually gave way to the clean scent of rain once more. Back in my room, I stood by the window, witnessing the fog dissipate with the approaching dawn. The blue light had vanished, leaving no trace of its presence. Only the lingering aroma of the ocean on my sweater hinted at the night's extraordinary events. In my pocket, I discovered a smooth piece of weathered sea glass, its blue hue matching the pulsating light that had guided me. Even now, on quiet rainy nights, I catch glimpses of that mystical blue light in the distance. The ship never reappears in the same form, and I have never ventured as close as on that initial night. Yet I keep the sea glass on my windowsill, and at times when the fog envelops the world, I hear echoes of distant whispers beckoning me, spinning tales of a vessel that sails the boundary between reality and imagination, forever adrift amidst the waves of possibility. Story 19. The soft, steady patter of autumn rain danced against the windows of my cozy study, creating a soothing lullaby that enveloped the room in a tranquil embrace. Surrounded by the comforting glow of my vintage desk lamp, I delved into the ancient family documents that held the whispers of generations past. Shadows caressed the corners of the room, leaving me nestled in a pool of gentle light. This house, once my grandmother's sanctuary, now cradled me in its history, each creak and sigh a reminder of the stories etched into its very foundation. Amidst the yellowed papers, my fingers stumbled upon a treasure hidden in plain sight, a weathered, leather-bound journal, its secrets waiting to be uncovered. Without any markings on its cover, the journal beckoned me with the familiar script of my grandmother's hand. Page after page revealed her meticulous notes on the house's upkeep, until a particular entry halted my exploration. Found another door in the root cellar today. It shouldn't be there. The foundation plans show solid wall. The rain persisted in its gentle melody as I sank back into my chair, pondering those cryptic words. Memories of childhood visits to the root cellar floated through my mind, yet no recollection of an extra door surfaced. The leather of my chair sighed softly with my movement, blending with the distant settling of aged beams in the house. With silent steps on plush carpet, I drifted towards the kitchen, drawn by the mystery waiting beyond the cellar door. At the end of a dim hallway, the cellar door stood sentinel, its brass handle gleaming in the soft light. A twist of the old key and a whisper of hinges revealed a cool, musty embrace as I descended into the earthy depths. The root cellar exhaled scents of soil and stone, mingled with echoes of harvests long gone. My flashlight painted shadows on ancient shelves and rugged walls, everything appearing just as I remembered, until my gaze landed on a subtle anomaly in the corner. A hint of difference in the stone caught my eye, a texture that seemed out of place. Tracing the mortar lines with my fingertips, I uncovered a hidden latch that yielded to my touch. With a gentle push, a secret passage emerged before me, a staircase spiraling into the unknown, untouched by the passage of time. The air below whispered of warmth and a floral sweetness, beckoning me with an enigmatic allure. Though my grandmother's journal hinted at the door, it offered no glimpse of what lay beyond. Yet the staircase exuded a sense of tranquility, its flawless construction a testament to unseen craftsmanship. The descent felt effortless, each step a caress of familiarity as I sank deeper into the earth. The rain's melody faded, replaced by a subtle hum that resonated like a distant memory, weaving through the air with a mesmerizing cadence. As the staircase unfurled into a hidden realm, the light shifted, casting a golden haze that bathed the walls in iridescence. Patterns danced along the stone, shifting and shimmering with a life of their own. The descent continued, time losing its grip as I surrendered to the embrace of the unknown. Fragrances of summer gardens and ancient whispers wove through the air, a symphony of sensations guiding my journey to a small landing adorned with cryptic inscriptions. Unfamiliar characters adorned the walls, their movements fluid and elusive, as if concealing secrets just beyond reach. Though another staircase beckoned further exploration, an unseen force urged me to pause, to linger in this twilight space between worlds. Here, in the heart of mystery, I sat enveloped by warmth and vibrations that pulsed with a hidden energy, a harmony of the ages. Retracing my steps, I ascended to the surface, the hidden door closing with a soft sigh behind me. Back in my study, the rain's serenade continued, a timeless melody that whispered of secrets untold. My grandmother's journal lay open, revealing a faint message beneath her words, a riddle of truths veiled in mystery. Some questions, it seemed, found solace in their unanswered state, while some doors existed not to be opened, but to remind us of the boundless realms beyond our grasp. The staircase remained untouched, a silent guardian of the enigmatic space below, where echoes of unseen wonders lingered in the air. On quiet nights, when the house murmured its ancient tales and rain tapped gently against the windows, I felt the ghostly caress of that warm, fragrant air drifting from the depths, carrying with it the whispers of a world beyond comprehension. The journal now rests in my drawer, a silent witness to the unspoken truths of that hidden realm. In moments of reverie, when twilight bathes the room in a soft glow, I trace the worn leather cover with reverence, embracing the mystery that binds us to the ethereal spaces between reality and dreams. For in that twilight realm, where questions need no answers, and the unknown cradles us in its gentle embrace, the staircase remains a portal to the infinite possibilities that dwell within the deepest chambers of our hearts. Story 20. The soft symphony of waves caressing ancient stone whispered through the corridors of my mind as I treaded the twisting path leading to the lighthouse. Evening's embrace carried the tang of salt and seaweed, entwined with the earthy perfume of rain-soaked soil. Each step I took on the moist earth was accompanied by the gentle rustle of tall grass swaying in the coastal zephyr. Ahead stood the lighthouse, its white facade shimmering with an otherworldly glow in the waning twilight. Layers of history peeked through delicate patterns of peeling paint, adding a sense of mystery to the structure that had been a steadfast presence in my life as the keeper's assistant. Yet tonight, an enigmatic aura enveloped the lighthouse. The usual warm, golden beacon that should have caressed the waters was conspicuously absent, although the lantern room at the tower's peak emitted a soft, ethereal light. The iron key felt icy against my palm as I unlocked the stout wooden door. Its low, resonant creak reverberated through the circular chamber, mingling with the familiar scents of brass and mineral oil. However, a subtle fragrance, reminiscent of aged books and wilted flowers, lingered in the air, evading identification. As I ascended the spiral staircase, its 142 steps seemed to murmur beneath my feet, each one laden with a whispered secret. The usual sounds of the lighthouse, the rhythmic tick of the clockwork mechanism, the gentle hum of the wind through the ventilation shafts, receded into a distant murmur, as if veiled by a shroud of mist. The brass handrail exuded an unexpected warmth, contrasting with the cool evening air. Anomalies began to manifest themselves the higher I climbed. Faint markings on the walls resembled cryptic inscriptions, vanishing upon closer inspection. Reaching the watchroom below the lantern chamber, I noticed the logbook lying open on the desk, its pages fluttering without a breeze. The last entry penned in my own hand, recounting an inexplicable occurrence. Light shines forth but illuminates nothing. The beam passes through the fog as if it doesn't exist. A chill crept over me as I ascended the final steps to the lantern room. The gleaming Fresnel lens refracted light from the lamp, its rotation steady, yet no beam pierced the encroaching darkness beyond the glass panes. The light dissipated mere feet from its source, swallowed by an unseen force. Pressing my palm to the cool glass, I beheld a tranquil sea, its surface as smooth as obsidian, devoid of starlight reflections. The celestial horizon had vanished, merging sea and sky into an abyssal void pulsating with an eerie vitality. The logbook's cryptic message lingered in my thoughts, challenging my understanding of the natural order. The concept of light vanishing into the void contradicted all I knew. Yet there it was, unfolding before my disbelieving eyes. A soft, scraping sound drew my gaze to the open toolbox, its tools arranged in anomalous patterns that momentarily formed inexplicable symbols. The lamp's flame flickered, casting dancing shadows that seemed to move independently of my own motions, a faint echo of my reflection lagging behind. A melodic hum resonated from the lens, resembling a celestial choir, its harmonious vibrations permeating the chamber. Words materialized on the logbook's pages, penned by an invisible hand. The darkness doesn't consume the light, it transforms it into something we cannot perceive. Some things are meant to remain unseen. Beyond the glass, liquid shadows undulated in a spectral ballet, weaving cryptic patterns that hinted at a hidden language written in absence of light. Mesmerized, I watched as the humming intensified, the lamp's glow pulsing in synchrony, casting impossible shadows that defied the laws of physics. Time warped within the lantern room. The moon traversed the firmament at an accelerated pace, while the clock's hands scarcely budged. The brass rail's warmth waned, replaced by a nebulous sensation, as if touching a substance between states of matter. Descending the stairs felt like traversing veils of reality askew, the lighthouse now a nexus beyond mere guidance for ships. The following dawn revealed no trace of the uncanny events. However, on serene nights, a faint echo of that mysterious occurrence lingers, as if the lighthouse converses with the shadows in a language of light and darkness, veiled from comprehension. The enigma of that night persists, a gentle mystery cloaked in shifting uncertainties, nestled in the liminal space where light and shadow converge, beckoning us to embrace the unseen. Story 21. The gentle sound of rain tapping against my window created a soothing melody in the room. I found myself nestled in my grandmother's weathered rocking chair, gazing out at the droplets tracing intricate patterns down the glass. In my hands rested a worn leather journal, a treasure discovered in her attic after her passing. Its pages held the secrets of a peculiar autumn from her youth, penned in her elegant script. As the rain whispered outside, I delved into her tale, allowing it to envelop me like a dream from a bygone era. My cherished journal. The morning I arrived in the village, a thick fog blanketed the ground like a soft embrace. The autumn air carried a crisp chill, fragrant with the perfume of fallen leaves and distant wood smoke. Yet, amidst this familiar scene, a subtle anomaly caught my attention as I strolled down the cobblestone street, the echoes of my footsteps blending with the quiet morning. There were no shadows. The sun's golden rays bathed the quaint buildings in light, but where shadows should have lingered, there was only emptiness. The villagers moved about their daily routines with a graceful fluidity, unfazed by the absence of darkness. The baker arranged his loaves, children skipped to school, an elderly man tended to his doorstep, all seemingly suspended in a peaceful dance above the ground. I had come to stay with Aunt Margaret for the winter, a dear family friend who insisted on the title of Aunt. Her Victorian home stood at the village's edge, adorned with intricate trimmings and windows that seemed to hold silent conversations with the world outside. The interior exuded a scent of cinnamon and aged books, with furniture that appeared weightless, untouched by shadows. "You've noticed, haven't you?" Aunt Margaret's gentle voice broke the stillness as she placed a steaming cup of tea before me. The delicate clink of porcelain filled the room. "About the shadows?" I nodded, watching tendrils of steam rise from my cup. "What happened to them?" She settled into her chair, a picture of poise. "They departed 3 generations past. Some say a wandering merchant claimed them, while others believe they sought more intriguing companions. The truth likely lies betwixt, as truths often do." In the days that followed, I unearthed more mysteries within the village. Birds sang unfamiliar tunes that seemed to drift from distant lands. Flowers bloomed with an inner luminance, defying the season's grasp. The night sky sparkled with stars that felt within reach, their light casting no shadows. Time itself meandered leisurely, like honey trickling from a jar, sweet, unhurried, and golden. The villagers, adept at living in a world devoid of shadows, crafted art that danced with light in mesmerizing ways. The glassblower fashioned pieces that captured light without casting darkness. The seamstress wove fabrics that shimmered from within. Yet it was the children who reveled most in this shadowless realm. Unaccustomed to shadows, they played games of light, where mirrors bounced sunlight in playful arcs. Their drawings depicted a weightless world, untouched by the darkness of contrast. One evening, amidst tending Aunt Margaret's garden, I broached the subject of restoring the shadows. "Indeed," she replied, trimming a rosebush blooming in hues of sunset. "When shadows fled, the elders sought their return through every means. Yet we learned a crucial truth. Shadows chose to depart." Brushing soil from her hands, she continued, "Perhaps it was for the best. Shadows are not mere darkness, but echoes of light, remnants of where light once danced. Perhaps we needed to cherish our memories in a new light." Winter crept closer, painting the village in a frosty palette. The first snow descended soundlessly, each flake a tiny mirror reflecting light, illuminating the night with a celestial glow. Without shadows, the landscape appeared ethereal, a scene from a dream, untouched and pristine. Aunt Margaret's decision to reside in this place of tranquility became clear to me. Beyond the absence of shadows, a profound serenity enveloped the village, where rules softened at the edges, creating a sanctuary of gentle wonders. The baker continued his craft, loaves emitting a soft glow when baked. School children absorbed knowledge, their books whispering ancient tales in empty rooms. The elderly man swept his stoop, his broom gathering stardust along with debris. On my final night in the village, Aunt Margaret and I sat on her porch, savoring tea tinged with moonlight. The night air was crisp and starlit, a celestial spectacle unfolding above us. "Will you pen our tale?" she inquired softly, her voice a mere whisper on the breeze. "Yes," I replied, "though few may believe." She smiled, warmth crinkling the corners of her eyes. "Some stories are not for belief, but for feeling, like the memory of light on a cloudy day." As I closed the journal, the rain's symphony persisted outside, casting a peculiar light on my reflection in the glass. For a fleeting moment, my shadow seemed undecided, wavering as if contemplating departure. Slowly shutting the journal, I allowed my grandmother's words to linger, a cascade of autumn leaves settling around me. I pondered if, in a village without shadows, her tale whispered still, carried on gentle currents of light. Story 22. The gentle patter of rain against my window had been my constant companion on that autumn evening, lulling me into a tranquil state of mind. My reading lamp cast a soft, warm glow over the pages of my journal, where I chronicled the strange occurrences of recent weeks. The scratch of my pen against the paper harmonized with the natural symphony outside, creating a soothing ambience. It all began on a misty evening, much like this one. The distinct sound of carriage wheels rolling over cobblestones caught my attention. Living in this historic neighborhood, such noises were not uncommon. However, this sound had a mesmerizing quality. The rhythm of hooves and wheels remained consistent, never wavering, never altering its pace. I set down my teacup and approached the window, drawn by the hypnotic regularity of the sound. Through the sheer curtains, I glimpsed the silhouette of an elegant carriage, its dark figure barely visible in the ethereal mist that blanketed the street. The carriage moved with mechanical precision, its wheels rotating at an exact rate, the horse's hooves striking the cobblestones in perfect unison. No driver graced the carriage's top, yet it navigated its path with unwavering resolve. The windows remained opaque, offering no insight into potential passengers within. The entire carriage seemed cloaked in a strange, light-absorbing material, shrouded in mystery. That first night I witnessed it pass by my home 3 times, each circuit precisely 47 minutes apart. Intrigued by this enigmatic phenomenon, I found myself timing its appearances, fascinated by the flawless regularity. As weeks unfolded, the carriage became a nightly visitor to our street. At dusk, as the sun dipped below the horizon and stars emerged, the familiar sound would echo through the neighborhood. Cats halted their prowls, birds fell silent, creating an atmosphere of expectant hush in its wake. Other residents took notice. Mrs. Henderson claimed to hear it pass her window at precisely 3:17 a.m., its wheels resonating in the depths of her dreams. Local children counted the seconds between sightings, though parental caution advised against staying out late to catch a glimpse. I delved deeper into the mystery, my journal filling with meticulous observations, the hue of the carriage's exterior, the dimming of streetlights as it glided beneath them, the lingering scent of lilacs and wood smoke trailing in its path. One foggy evening, curiosity led me to follow. Wrapped in a coat, I trailed after the carriage through winding streets and past slumbering homes. The fog enveloped us, distorting reality, stretching time into a fluid dance of shadows and whispers. The surroundings shifted subtly, becoming unfamiliar. The architecture aged, the streetlights emitted a peculiar bluish glow, and the fog took on an otherworldly luminescence. Yet the carriage's rhythm remained unchanged, its wheels now weaving a melodic undertone into the night. Lost in a dreamlike trance, I followed until an uneven cobblestone jolted me back to reality. When I looked up, the carriage had vanished. The fog dissipated, revealing my own street, my own dwelling just steps away. That night, a preserved lilac blossom appeared on my desk, its petals a shifting hue of purple-black, untouched by time. The carriage continued its nightly rounds, its presence a constant in my life. Sometimes I would watch it pass, pondering its enigmatic purpose and destination. Theories brewed in my mind. Was it a relic of the past trapped in an eternal loop? Did it serve an incomprehensible function, upholding reality's delicate balance? Perhaps it awaited something or someone. The lilac blossom, a mysterious artifact, remained unchanged, emitting a faint, haunting hum in the quiet hours. Rain drummed against my window as I anticipated the approaching sound of wheels on cobblestones, beckoning sleep's gentle embrace. As the carriage traversed its eternal path, carrying its enigmatic cargo through mist-laden streets that straddled reality and dreams, I wondered about the secrets it held. Story 23. The soft patter of raindrops on ancient stones played a gentle lullaby as I lingered at the mouth of the time-worn cave, my lantern casting a warm glow on the weathered walls. The air was heavy with the earthy perfume of damp moss and mineral-rich waters, a scent untouched by human hands for eons. As a geologist, I had roamed through myriad caves, but none had whispered to me as this one did, an intimacy between me and the very essence of the rock itself. Each step I took resounded softly, harmonizing with the quiet drips from stalactites that formed puddles at my feet. Shadows danced on the limestone walls, painting a silent story of motion and life. I trailed my fingers along the cool, damp surfaces, feeling the ancient whispers of geological ages past etched into the stone's very core. The passage widened, leading me into a vast chamber where my lantern's light could not reach the high ceiling. The chamber sang, with the symphony of droplets falling into hidden pools, each note blending into a natural melody that filled the space. My boots left imprints in the fine silt underfoot, but I noticed something peculiar. Delicate footprints, not my own, weaving in and out of sight as if a ghostly dancer had graced the chamber. Fresh and mysterious, these prints puzzled me, for no recent visitors had marked the cave's entrance, and its remote location deterred casual exploration. Following these enigmatic footprints, I delved deeper into the cave's embrace. The rain outside had faded to a murmur, replaced by the soft drip of water and another sound, faint but distinct, echoing footsteps, always a whisper away. With curiosity as my guide, I pressed on, the cave's passages twisting into natural arches adorned with glistening mineral treasures that sparkled like distant stars. The unseen footsteps led the way, navigating the maze with purpose, never faltering at intersections we passed. Time seemed to flow like a river as I walked, though my watch insisted only minutes had slipped by since my entry. The air carried a sweet mineral tang, reminiscent of fresh spring water, and hints of movement flickered in my peripheral vision, teasing my senses. The footsteps drew nearer, their rhythm synchronizing with my heartbeat, yet their source remained a mystery. Raising my lantern, its light unveiled natural shelves, ascending like a staircase, where the footprints defied gravity, ascending the wall with ethereal grace. My mind sought logical explanations, tricks of light, unusual formations, yet a haunting melody began to fill the chamber, wordless and timeless, resonating within the very stone. The footsteps ceased, replaced by this celestial tune that enveloped me in tranquility. Shadows danced to the melody, and my lantern's flame flickered in silent harmony. I sat upon a smooth boulder, swaying gently to the cave's song, as droplets fell rhythmically, casting golden ripples in the pools at my feet. Time lost its hold as I surrendered to the cavern's embrace, becoming one with its ancient rhythm. The footsteps returned in playful circles, but I no longer felt compelled to chase them, content to be a part of the cave's enigmatic dance. When I decided to depart, the footprints had vanished, leaving no trace in the silt. The haunting melody lingered as I retraced my steps, the cave now feeling more intimate, as if we shared a timeless secret. At the entrance, I glanced back into the darkness. The rain now ceased, sunlight casting long shadows. Beside me, invisible steps imprinted the silt, fading into the light with a gentle echo of laughter, a farewell from the depths. To this day, that unearthly melody hums in my mind as I explore other caves, and in rare, quiet moments underground, I hear distant footsteps echoing my tune, dancing just around the corner, always almost there. Story 24. The soft patter of rain against my car window created a calming melody as I navigated through the autumn night. The worn-out wipers swayed back and forth in a mesmerizing rhythm, clearing the delicate droplets that clung to the glass. My headlights cut through the encroaching darkness, their beams softened by the light drizzle that had been my companion for the past hour. Although I had traveled this road countless times, tonight felt different. The usual route home had taken on an eerie quality as wisps of mist began to rise from the earth, threading through the ancient trees that bordered the narrow path. The fog slithered upwards slowly, akin to spectral fingers reaching towards the darkening heavens. In the distance, I spotted the old wooden bridge that marked the midpoint of my journey, barely discernible through the thickening mist. It stood there, a simple yet weather-beaten structure, its timbers smoothed by years of weathering. As I drew closer, the fog seemed to gather denser around it, as if drawn to its aged frame. The sound of my tires changed as they met the wooden planks, creating a soft, hollow beat that resonated through the quiet night. My headlights cast a glow on the swirling mist, which danced and shifted in mesmerizing patterns. Through the passenger window, glimpses of the black, mirror-like surface of the creek below caught my eye in the fading light. Something compelled me to slow down halfway across the bridge. It could have been the unnatural movement of the mist, more like a breath than a breeze. Or perhaps it was the peculiar quality of the light, bending and reflecting off the fog in inexplicable ways. The rhythmic drumming of my tires grew softer and slower until I came to a halt in the middle of the bridge. With the engine purring softly, other sounds became apparent. The gentle murmur of water beneath, the rain tapping lightly on metal and wood, and something else, a faint whisper just on the edge of perception. It could have been the wind whispering through the ancient railings, but it carried elusive fragments of words, too distinct to dismiss, yet too elusive to decipher. Cracking the window slightly, I allowed the cool, damp air to trickle inside. The scent that wafted in was intricate, a blend of wet wood, fallen leaves, and something ancient, reminiscent of dusty attics and forgotten chambers. The mist crept in through the crack, like inquisitive tendrils, carrying with it that almost sound, that nearly voice. Glancing into the rearview mirror, all I saw was a veil of white fog behind me, while ahead, the bridge seemed to stretch infinitely into the mist, its usual length now uncertain. Through the passenger window, I observed the fog above the creek moving against the wind, swirling in deliberate spirals. A form materialized in the mist to my right, visible through the passenger window. It might have been a figure standing at the bridge's railing, or merely a denser patch of fog caught in a swirl. Yet, for a fleeting moment, I could swear I saw a hand extend towards my car, its outline soft and blurry, like a watercolor left out in the rain. The radio, previously emitting soft music at a low volume, began to scan through stations on its own. Amidst the static, snatches of songs and voices flitted by, none lingering for more than a moment. The digital display flickered with seemingly random numbers that, upon closer inspection, revealed a pattern I almost recognized. Time became fluid, mirroring the mist outside. I lost track of how long I sat there, watching the fog swirl and listening to the whispered fragments. The ticking of my watch persisted, yet the displayed time seemed distorted, out of sync. The soft, pulsing glow of the dashboard numbers marked seconds that felt elongated or fleeting. A light tap on the driver's side window startled me. It was a gentle sound, akin to raindrops, but deliberate. When I turned to look, the misty figure on the glass appeared to form a face. Or was it merely the play of water droplets catching the light in a peculiar manner? It dissipated as I focused, leaving me unsure of what I had glimpsed. The whispering grew more distinct for a moment, almost coalescing into understandable words. It echoed like distant conversations overheard through walls, familiar yet muffled. There was a quality to it that hinted at meaning just beyond reach, akin to a dream slipping away upon waking. Slowly I resumed driving forward. The wooden planks of the bridge resumed their hushed melody beneath my tires. As I reached the other side, the fog began to dissipate, reluctantly releasing its grip on my vehicle. In the rearview mirror, I watched the bridge fade into the mist, which now pulsed gently, like the rhythm of slow breaths. The remainder of my journey home transpired without incident, although the radio continued its erratic behavior, playing snatches of tunes that almost rang familiar. Upon parking in my driveway, an odd sight caught my eye on the passenger seat. A small, perfectly round puddle of water, devoid of any apparent source. That night, as I lay in bed listening to the persistent rain, thoughts of the bridge and its enigmatic fog lingered in my mind. In my dreams, the whispered words returned, and this time I nearly grasped their meaning. Almost, but not quite. A tantalizing yet elusive revelation. Even now, when I traverse that bridge shrouded in mist, I feel a gentle pull, an invitation to pause and listen to those almost words once more. Sometimes I heed the call, sometimes I do not. Yet I've noticed the puddle appearing on my passenger seat more often than not. A small, round reminder that certain mysteries prefer to remain veiled, lingering in the air like mist over dark waters. Story 25. The gentle sound of autumn rain tapping against my window echoed like a soothing melody, lulling me into a peaceful state as darkness slowly enveloped the aging garden outside. Wrapped in the cozy embrace of a woolen blanket, I sat in my cherished armchair, observing how the raindrops captured the dwindling daylight, shimmering like liquid silver as they cascaded down the glass panes. Amidst this tranquil scene, a peculiar sight caught my attention. A soft, green light, barely visible through the veil of rain, flickered between the ancient oak trees at the garden's far end. Swinging gently, akin to an old lantern carried by unseen hands, the light emitted a unique hue, reminiscent of the gentle glow of fireflies on a balmy summer night. Mesmerized by this enigmatic luminescence, I found myself irresistibly drawn to its rhythmic motion, my gaze locked on its ethereal dance amidst the rain's calming symphony. Memories of my grandmother's tales about the garden's mystical spirits resurfaced, her soothing voice recounting folklore of ancient tree-dwelling entities. Though once dismissed as mere bedtime stories, the presence of that mysterious green light reignited a childhood fascination within me. Rising from my seat, I pressed my palm against the cool window, tracing raindrops with my fingertip. As if in response to my touch, the green light intensified, its movements becoming more deliberate, weaving intricate patterns through the trees, leaving behind a faint, lingering trail of luminescence, akin to a fading dream's after image. The grandfather clock's deep chimes resonated through the hushed house, each toll synchronizing with the pulsing of the green light, creating an enchanting harmony that held me captive. Breath forming delicate mist on the glass, I observed the inexplicable interplay of light and sound with a sense of curious wonder. Enveloped in the scent of old books and fireplace embers clinging to my worn raincoat, I sensed a silent invitation from the stationary green light, now bathed in a softened mist as the evening exuded the fragrance of damp earth and autumn foliage. Embarking on a journey into the garden, the familiar path felt transformed beneath my feet, each step accompanied by a soft squelch on the ancient stones and a gentle percussion of raindrops from the overhanging boughs. The closer I drew to the light, the more the atmosphere thickened, crackling with an electric charge that stirred the fine hairs on my arms. Approaching the source, I discerned not a lantern, but a luminous sphere hovering at chest height, its edges soft and nebulous like a watercolor painting blurred by rain. Emitting a subtle warmth, not of fire or electricity, but an organic essence, akin to sun-warmed soil, the sphere illuminated the surroundings, casting enigmatic shadows that transformed ordinary shapes into elusive forms that shifted with every glance. Raindrops slowed in their descent around the sphere, suspending tiny emerald stars in the air, as if time itself had been gently altered by its presence. Resuming its journey, the sphere led me deeper into the garden, its movements guiding me along a path that seemed both familiar and alien under the ethereal light. The air filled with the heady scent of night-blooming flowers previously unnoticed, their aroma sweet yet tinged with an otherworldly allure. In this timeless stroll, marked by the rhythmic rainfall and my quiet breaths, the sphere paused intermittently, ensuring my continued presence before proceeding on its enigmatic quest. Amid these pauses, a faint melody, more a distant memory of childhood songs than a tangible tune, lingered at the edge of perception. Eventually reaching an unfamiliar glade, concealed from my prior knowledge of the garden, an ancient stone well stood at its heart, cloaked in moss and delicate ferns. Hovering above the well, the green light cast its glow into the abyss below, illuminating intricate symbols carved into the stone's rim, symbols that seemed to shift and dance when I attempted to focus on them directly. Slowly descending into the well, the sphere prompted the symbols to emit their own faint luminescence, orchestrating a mesmerizing play of light and shadow that resonated with an ancient, knowing energy that had awaited this moment for centuries. Peering over the well's edge, I watched as the green light delved deeper, revealing glimpses of other lights in hues of blue, purple, and gold, each moving in an enigmatic choreography. The water's echo acquired a melodic quality, resonating from depths that defied conventional limits. Stepping back from the well, I found the rain had ceased, the night air frozen in a moment of expectation, as the garden held its breath in anticipation of an incomprehensible revelation. Though the green light had vanished, The softly pulsating cymbals on the well rim matched the rhythm of my heartbeat, guiding me back to the house along a path that blurred the lines between minutes and hours. The garden seemed transformed, the trees bowing in silent reverence, whispering secrets beyond my grasp as I passed. Gazing back from my window, I sought the well's location, only to find familiar shadows and trees in place of the mystical sight. Yet, on serene rainy nights, I still linger by the window, watching the garden. Occasionally, under the perfect blend of rain and earthy scents carried by the wind, a gentle green glow teases between the trees, a beckoning whisper of hidden revelations. I've learned that some mysteries remain veiled, existing in the delicate balance between understanding and awe. The well has not reappeared in its original spot, but on certain evenings, the echo of water and music rises faintly from the depths beneath the garden, accompanied by the gentle pulse of green light dancing at the edge of perception. Embracing the notion that the greatest mysteries need not be unraveled but experienced, I have allowed the garden's enchantment to transform me in its subtle, gentle way. Story 26. The gentle rustle of wind among the ancient trees whispered a lullaby of pine and earthy fragrance as I wandered along the twisting forest path. Dusk cloaked the sky in hues of lavender and deep blue, casting a tranquil spell over the woods. In my hand, a wooden lantern bathed the mossy ground in a flickering amber glow, conjuring dancing shadows that seemed to pulse with each of my steps. Hours slipped by as I sought solace amidst the murmurs of nature. The forest, a sanctuary I knew well, held an unfamiliar aura on this particular night. A peculiar stillness hung in the air, as if the very trees were holding their breath in anticipation. Even the chorus of crickets, usually robust in the evening, now whispered faintly, barely audible in the encroaching darkness. As I delved deeper into the heart of the woods, my gaze was drawn to a peculiar cluster of trees ahead. Their branches intertwined over the years, forming a canopy that resembled a natural shelter. This sight halted my stride. In all my wanderings through these woods, I had never stumbled upon this enchanting grove. Drawing nearer, I marveled at the twisted branches, weaving in patterns that defied the laws of nature. They arched and twisted, creating passageways akin to forgotten palace corridors sculpted by the earth itself. The bark bore smooth patches where roughness should have prevailed, as if worn by generations of unseen hands. My lantern's light unveiled intricate designs etched into the wood, spirals and curves that might have been the handiwork of wind and time, or perhaps something beyond human understanding. Stepping beneath the woven canopy, I noticed a shift in the atmosphere. The air within the shelter held a subtle warmth, carrying a sweet scent that eluded identification. It hinted of honey and ancient tomes with an exotic undertone that teased the senses. My footsteps echoed differently here, resonating as if on wooden floorboards rather than forest soil. Curious objects caught my eye as I explored. Colored glass fragments nestled like captured stars, paper or parchment woven delicately into the twigs, weathered by time until they seemed organically grown. With each step further into the shelter, the environment subtly transformed. The temperature crept upwards, the light taking on a greenish hue filtered through the dense leaves above. A soft, melodic hum, barely audible yet persistent, seemed to emanate from the very core of the wood, rising and falling like a tranquil breath. When I touched a sizable branch, a faint vibration met my hand, as if the tree itself hummed a hidden melody from deep within. In a secluded corner of the shelter, I stumbled upon a small alcove formed by 3 trees in perfect triangulation. Their branches had woven a natural chair with a small table-like platform. Adorning the platform were peculiar objects, arranged stones, unfamiliar flowers, and ancient coins etched with enigmatic symbols. Night enveloped the forest outside, and within the shelter, a subtle animation stirred. Shadows danced in defiance of my lantern's sway, and soft lights flitted between the branches, moving with a purpose that transcended mere fireflies. The longer I lingered in this otherworldly grove, the more I noticed details that blurred the lines between natural and supernatural. Branches bore intricate knots and patterns, resembling script I couldn't decipher, yet seemed to convey meaning. A gentle breeze carried the distant tinkling of chimes, though no physical instruments were in sight. The harmonious melody, seemingly from all directions at once, lulled me into a trance-like state. The beckoning natural chair welcomed my tired form, its embrace surprisingly comforting. As I settled, the wood's humming intensified, a soothing undercurrent that wove through the shifting lights above, reminiscent of celestial choreography. My lantern's light dimmed of its own accord, time slipping away in the shelter's embrace. The surrounding forest faded, replaced by a serene isolation that felt both strange and oddly familiar. Between wakefulness and dreams, I observed the grove's subtle transformations. Branches seemed to stir in my peripheral vision, the glass shards emitted a soft glow, and the air filled with a blend of sweetness and ancient wisdom. Distant voices, speaking in unknown tongues yet resonating with a sense of belonging, drifted on the breeze. In the depths of my twilight reverie, a presence, ancient and observant, manifested within the shelter. It seemed to emanate from the very essence of the grove, a slumbering intelligence woven into the branches themselves. The wood's hum took on a conversational cadence, its patterns imbued with a significance just beyond my grasp. When I finally fully awoke, daylight filtered through the canopy, illuminating shifting shapes on the forest floor. My lantern had extinguished, yet the shelter retained an enigmatic allure, though now more distant, as if receding into the ordinary woodland. Picking up a twisted leaf placed on the natural table, reminiscent of the mysterious script in the branches, I watched in awe as it unfolded and reshaped before my eyes. Retracing my steps through the forest, I tried to imprint the path to the shelter in my memory, only to realize the elusive nature of its location. The woods seemed to shift, the path altering with each passing moment, leaving me uncertain of my direction. To this day I return to the forest, seeking that elusive grove. Occasionally, hints of woven branches or familiar hums tantalize my senses, yet the shelter remains a dreamlike memory, offering sanctuary and enigma to weary souls in need of its peculiar magic. A lingering sensitivity to the whispers of trees, and a certainty of the grove's continued vigil beneath its intertwined branches are the only remnants of that ethereal encounter. Perhaps the shelter reveals itself solely to those in need, a haven of mystery and solace awaiting the next traveler seeking its enigmatic embrace amid the ancient woods. Story 27. The wind whispered softly through the rustling autumn leaves, carrying with it the familiar sense of damp earth and fading blooms. Nestled in my grandmother's weathered rocking chair wrapped in a cozy woolen blanket, I gazed out at the mist swirling lazily across my backyard. The rhythmic creaking of the chair on the porch boards melded harmoniously with the gentle inhale and exhale of my breath. My gaze drifted towards the ancient hedge that stood sentinel at the edge of my property. A towering wall of intertwined branches, it loomed tall and impenetrable, its secrets veiled by a curtain of dense foliage. Stories from my grandmother's lips painted it as old as time itself, guarding something precious beyond its thorny embrace. As a child, I had dismissed these tales as mere whimsy, like her stories of moonlit fairies and whispering shadows. Yet, as the mist thickened, carrying a faint scent of roses foreign to my garden, I felt a curious stir in my soul. The fragrance grew richer with the descending darkness, a sweet perfume reminiscent of the dried rose petals in grandmother's jewelry box. My eyelids grew heavy as I listened to the gentle patter of raindrops cascading from the leaves, each droplet forming delicate ripples in the puddles below. A soft, warm light caught my eye, beckoning from just beyond the hedge. Unlike the harsh glare of modern lights, This glow was a golden caress, pulsating with a life of its own. It danced among the thorny branches, casting enchanting shadows that seemed to sway in a silent, hypnotic rhythm. Mesmerized, I rose from the chair, the blanket slipping off my shoulders, and ventured barefoot onto the dew-kissed grass. Each step towards the hedge revealed new details hidden in the shadows. Crystal-clear droplets clung to the thorns like glistening jewels, capturing and reflecting the golden light in a mesmerizing display. Midnight blue roses, their petals an ethereal hue, nestled among the thorny barricade, their beauty defying the autumn chill. Standing before the hedge, a revelation struck me. A slender gap between the branches, a natural archway inviting passage. The thorns seemed to part, creating an entrance bathed in the golden light that spilled from within. Through this opening, I glimpsed a wondrous sight, a garden unlike any other. Unlike my orderly backyard, this hidden sanctuary defied logic and reason. Vibrant blooms flourished where they shouldn't, vines twined around ancient stones, and exotic scents wafted through the air, mingling with the fragrance of rain and earth. A sense of ancient mystery enveloped me, stirring memories of childhood wonder and belief in grandmother's fantastical tales. Reaching out to touch a midnight blue rose, I expected coolness and dampness, but instead it radiated warmth as if kissed by eternal sunshine. A soft, haunting melody drifted through the gap in the hedge, a melody that wasn't quite music, but a whisper of a long-forgotten song. The golden light pulsed, casting moving shadows in the mystical garden beyond. Not menacing shapes, but graceful movements akin to dancers swaying in a timeless ballet. Trails of soft light followed their movements, painting ephemeral patterns in the darkness. Swaying gently to the phantom melody, I felt a pull towards the widened archway, an unspoken invitation to step into the unknown. Rational thoughts whispered of impossibility, but grandmother's wisdom echoed in my mind, urging me to embrace the beauty hidden behind veils of disbelief. The rhythmic drip of water harmonized with the ethereal melody, time slowing to a languid pace. The mist enveloped me like a lover's caress, guiding me towards the scents of roses, vanilla, and cedar that drifted through the beckoning gap. Shadows continued their enchanting dance in the garden, familiar shapes teasing the edges of recognition. The golden light pulsed once more, illuminating the hedge as if alive with secrets waiting to be unveiled. The decision to cross the threshold lingered, suspended in the air like the mist swirling around my feet. In that moment of suspended reality, I understood the true magic lay not in crossing over, but in acknowledging the existence of thresholds between worlds. Places where imagination and reality intertwined, where childhood fantasies melded with the tapestry of life. A smile tugged at my lips as I grasped the essence of grandmother's teachings. Some mysteries were meant to be cherished from afar, their allure preserved like flowers pressed between the pages of memory. The hedge stood as a guardian of secrets, its mysteries shimmering in golden light, dancing to the eternal melody of raindrops. And as I stood there on the threshold of the unknown, I found solace in the beauty of the unseen, in the whispered promises of a world beyond the hedge. Story 28. In the stillness of an autumn evening, I tread the familiar path to my grandmother's Victorian abode. The wind whispered secrets through the trees, guiding me towards the weathered steps that sang beneath my feet. The porch, usually bathed in a warm glow, stood shrouded in darkness, reflecting only the moon's pale light. It had been 3 months since my grandmother's peaceful departure, leaving me the keeper of this old house and its memories. Each evening I lit the 12 antique lanterns, a ritual passed down through generations, a way to keep her spirit alive in the walls that echoed with the past. But this night, a peculiar stillness hung heavy in the air, mingling with the scents of rain and aged wood. As I reached for my keys, my fingers brushed against her brass lighter, worn smooth by years of use. The foyer greeted me with the comforting fragrance of lavender and old books, a scent carefully crafted by my grandmother. The vintage wall sconces cast a gentle amber light across the wallpaper as I began my ritual. Yet, to my surprise, the lanterns refused to ignite. Each wick remained stubbornly dark, resisting the flame's touch. A breeze stirred the ivy on the porch, casting dancing shadows that seemed to come alive under the moon's watchful gaze. Moving from lantern to lantern, I found the same defiance in each. The darkness persisted, a silent protest against the usual routine. The grandfather clock's ticking filled the air, marking the passage of time. But this night felt suspended in its own realm. Memories surfaced of my grandmother's stories about the lanterns, tales of nights when they chose not to light. Settling on the porch swing, I let its gentle creaks meld with the nocturnal symphony around me. In the moonlight, I noticed delicate silver threads weaving between the dark lanterns, shimmering like spun silk. With each chime of midnight, the threads grew stronger, forming a web that connected them all. Within this ethereal circle, the air hummed with a weighty presence, reminiscent of my grandmother's essence. Shadows flitted between the lanterns, elusive yet familiar, dancing in the soft glow of the silver threads. I realized then that these lanterns were more than mere lights. They were guardians of memories, revealing deeper truths in their darkness. Hours slipped by unnoticed as I sat entranced by the silent dance of shadows and whispers. With the first light of dawn, the silver threads faded, and I rose from the swing, feeling a newfound warmth within me. Testing the first lantern, it ignited easily, its flame bright and unwavering. One by one, I brought light back to each lantern, feeling the weight of generations past in their golden glow. The darkness had revealed its secrets, stories written in shadow and flame, waiting to be deciphered on nights of significance. I kept this night to myself, cherishing the lantern's silent wisdom. Each refusal to light became a whispered invitation to delve deeper into the tapestry of our family's history. And as I sit on the porch swing, bathed in the lantern's golden embrace, I ponder the mysteries of darkness, a language of shadows and silence that speaks volumes of the past, present, and the unseen realms in between. Story 29. The soft murmur of the wind rustling through the autumn leaves whispered a lullaby as I strolled along the forest path that evening. The air carried the earthy fragrance of decay, a bittersweet reminder of nature's cycle. Fallen leaves turning to nourishing soil, mushrooms emerging in hidden corners, and the fading scent of summer flowers yielding to the embrace of fall. The setting sun stretched long shadows among the trees, their branches extending like delicate tendrils across my way. These evening walks had always been my solace, a refuge from the hustle of the day spent indoors. The forest spoke in a different silence, alive with the symphony of subtle movements and distant whispers, a language only the attentive could decipher. Yet, on this particular night, a subtle shift lingered in the air. The usual cacophony of crickets felt hushed, as if they, too, awaited a mysterious revelation in the deepening twilight. The first owl's call pierced the fading light, a familiar melody that often serenaded my nocturnal journeys, a melodic series of hoots that reverberated through the trees. But it wasn't the initial call that gave me pause, it was the response that followed. Another owl chimed in, its voice carrying an unfamiliar tune, weaving an enchanting duet that halted me in my tracks. Soon, more voices joined the chorus. 3, then 4, then an uncountable multitude, each distinct yet harmonizing in a mesmerizing unity that defied logic. The temperature plummeted, a fine mist rising from the earth like spectral tendrils. Within the thickening fog, shadows danced between the trees, moving with a fluidity that seemed to defy the laws of nature. My timepiece had ceased its ticking, the concept of time vanishing into the night, marked only by the rhythmic heartbeat of the owl's symphony. As the mist enveloped me, ethereal shapes materialized, not quite tangible, yet more than mere shadows. They swayed in a hypnotic ballet, responding to the haunting melody of the owls, their forms hinting at ancient secrets and mystical origins. With each passing moment, the twilight deepened, revealing more intricate details within the misty apparitions, hints of wings, glimpses of ancient eyes, and shapes that flickered between bird and something beyond comprehension. I found myself swaying in tandem with their celestial dance, my breath syncing with the forest's pulsating rhythm. The chill mist cocooned me in a serene embrace, dispelling any inkling of fear. Instead, a profound tranquility settled over me, as if I had stumbled upon a timeless ritual, a sacred performance echoing through the ages. Slowly, a realization dawned. The owl's song was evolving into a complex harmony that transcended mere sound, carrying messages veiled in mystery. The mist-clad figures drew nearer, their movements a choreography of enigmatic elegance. Amidst their fluid motions, glimpses of distant realms flickered, moonlit clearings unknown to my waking self, ancient arboreal sentinels foreign to these familiar woods, and stars aglow with hues beyond the spectrum of ordinary sight. Time lost its grip, and I found myself traversing the path once more, guided by the haunting melody of the owls and the spectral guardians that accompanied me in silent vigil. Minutes blurred with hours as I journeyed through this twilight realm, my senses attuned to the otherworldly symphony enveloping me. Familiar landmarks appeared altered, infused with the night's enchantment, as if they had imbibed the very essence of magic woven into the shadows. As I neared the forest's edge, the mist began to dissipate, the spectral choir receding into the veiled unknown. One by one, the owl voices faded, leaving only a solitary hoot lingering in the night air, the same gentle call that initiated this ethereal dance. And then, silence descended, pregnant with untold secrets. Emerging from the woods, my timepiece sprang to life, revealing a mere hour had passed, though my spirit had traversed a timeless expanse. In the days that ensued, I resumed my evening perambulations, a seeker of the mystical chorus and its enigmatic audience. Occasionally, on nights of profound stillness, a whisper of that ethereal harmony would brush against my senses, or a fleeting shadow would dart at the edge of perception. Yet the full symphony remained elusive, a phantasmal memory veiled in the mists of dreams. The forest held its mysteries close, unveiling them only in the twilight's perfect embrace, where reality and imagination intertwined. I tread the forest paths as dusk descends, pausing to heed the owl's call resonating through the gathering gloom. And sometimes, in rare moments, I catch a glimpse of a response on the horizon, beckoning me to partake in another dance betwixt shadow and light, guided by the solitary owl's eternal song. Story 30. The gentle patter of rain against ancient stone walls weaves a lullaby that drifts through the silent corridors of the majestic castle. I sit in my temporary abode, entranced by the dance of raindrops painting intricate patterns on the leaded glass windows, their journey illuminated by distant flashes of lightning. The soft flicker of candlelight casts warm shadows that seem to sway in harmony with the flame's gentle breath. As the newly appointed custodian of this grand edifice, I arrived just before the autumn storms unveiled their raw power. The previous caretaker had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only a weathered journal filled with enigmatic musings and peculiar insights. The pages exuded the fragrance of antiquity, intermingled with a hint of lavender or dried roses that lingered in the air whenever I unfurled its aged covers. The castle itself stood as a masterpiece of medieval craftsmanship, its weather-beaten stones preserving tales of bygone eras within their rugged surfaces. Tapestries adorned the walls, their hues softened by the passage of time, yet still whispering stories of ancient feasts and merriment. In the quietest moments, when the wind hushed its song, I could almost discern the faint echoes of long-forgotten revelries carried by the perpetual draft that meandered through the corridors. Tonight, as the storm intensified, I noticed an unusual phenomenon in the shifting shadows that played across the grand hall. The candlelight caught on in tangible forms, akin to smoke swirling in water, a phenomenon reminiscent of an entry in the old caretaker's journal describing the breathing of the castle. Initially brushed off as the fanciful ramblings of a solitary soul, these notions now sparked a flicker of doubt within my mind. Descending the spiral staircase, my footsteps muffled by the plush carpet runner, I ventured into the cooler depths of the castle, enveloped in the earthy scent of its ancient foundations. The vast expanse of the great hall sprawled before me, its ceiling vanishing into shadowy heights. Rain drummed a steady rhythm against the tall windows, providing a serene backdrop to my exploration. Moving through the hall, I noticed peculiar variations in temperature, subtle shifts in the air, some patches warmer, others cooler, like sunlit spots on a cloudy day, though devoid of any sunlight. Consulting the journal once more, I stumbled upon a passage where the former custodian had meticulously documented these anomalies, dubbing them the castle's breath. The tapestries stirred without a detectable breeze, as if stirred by an unseen hand. Standing before a particularly exquisite piece depicting a medieval hunt, I felt the unmistakable sensation of being observed, not with malice, but with a curious intent, as if the castle itself were scrutinizing its new steward. The journal recounted similar encounters, each described with escalating detail. Hours slipped by as I roamed the castle, jotting down my own observations alongside the cryptic entries. The storm outside raged, yet within these ancient walls, a profound tranquility enveloped me. The thunder, rather than menacing, resonated like the contented exhalations of a slumbering giant. Lightning painted fleeting kaleidoscopes of color across the stone floors, illuminated by the stained glass windows. In the library, a remarkable discovery awaited. The old caretaker had noted that during fierce storms, the books exhibited a tendency to rearrange themselves in cryptic patterns. Tonight, I witnessed the leather-bound tomes subtly shifting on their shelves, their spines aligning in mesmerizing configurations under the flickering candlelight. The clock told midnight, its resonant tones permeating the empty chambers. With the final chime, a subtle shift in the room's temperature was palpable, a charged stillness, akin to the anticipatory hush before a summer shower, settling into a comforting warmth that embraced me like a familiar embrace. Drawn to a secluded corner of the library, where the former custodian had evidently spent countless hours, I noticed the shadows pirouetting in intricate designs that almost resembled ancient script adorning the walls. These ethereal messages had captivated the old caretaker, as they now ensnared my attention in the depths of the night. The castle was more than mere stone and mortar. It pulsed with a life uniquely its own. Memories didn't merely linger within its walls, they exhaled into the air, sharing fragments of bygone centuries with those attuned to listen. The journal's final entry resonated with newfound clarity. The castle doesn't divulge its enigmas, it shares them, akin to a grandmother imparting tales to a cherished grandchild. The mysteries aren't meant for unraveling, but for experiencing, for immersing oneself within. Each night unfurls fresh whispers, new patterns, and ancient breaths carried on the winds of time. As I pen my inaugural entry in a fresh journal, the storm's gentle cadence persists against the castle's venerable facade. Shadows continue their silent waltz, tapestries whisper tales of yore, and the air retains its enigmatic warmth. I've come to realize that my role isn't to unlock the castle's secrets or demystify its wonders. I am here to become part of its ongoing narrative, to infuse my essence into its timeless rhythms, and to join the legion of souls who have traversed these halls and sensed the dwelling's tender living heartbeat. The candlelight flickers, casting an ethereal glow that merges my silhouette with the shadows cavorting on the walls. In the distance, a soft creak echoes as another chapter unfolds within the castle's endless saga. Embraced by the storm's embrace, I feel not merely a sojourner or lodger, but a denizen within these vibrant walls, where each night yields fresh murmurs of ancient lore, and every shadow harbors the promise of a gentle enigma yearning to be shared.